music is bringing. We're all flames in the fire that keeps burning. We're inviting the night in. Welcome, my heart's so full. I'm devoting myself to the night. There's no motive. We're just listening. We're existing. We stay where the music plays. Let's drop below where the people sway. Music keeps me on alone. You got the feeling. The music keeps me singing.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to CollegiateR6 playoffs. We've got a wonderful match coming up between the Ohio State University Scarlet team versus the University of Indiana at Chicago. My name is CDAPS, and I'm joined by the Hunter Cash, a wonderful caster. How are you doing tonight, my man?
No, I'm doing mighty fine. I'm doing even better now that we got a great matchup in our hands. So I'm definitely excited to see who comes out on top of this. Obviously, Ohio State, they're coming in. They've been doing really well these past couple seasons, and they definitely got something to prove right here. They're coming on in, you know, not the hottest record last season, but they showed signs of true brilliance. So this is the time to make a stand, show them what they got, and show them that they're a real contention for the title.
Yeah, from what I understand, CEA playoffs is also going on sort of at the same time as CR6 playoffs. And I do believe that these teams did just duke it out a couple of days ago with OSU coming out on top. So it's a little bit of a grudge match coming out. I'm looking at UIC to try to maybe VOD review their mistakes, sort of adapt their strategies to counteract what Ohio State was able to put up a couple of days ago. Granted, they are going to sort of maybe have some timid tendencies because you already know exactly what's coming out of this team. They were able to best you in a previous series. So getting over those nerves is going to be something that's not necessarily the easiest thing to do. But for Ohio State, they can't look past this opponent. You're kind of in a prime position to get upset because it's very difficult to beat the same team 2 times in a row.
Yeah, most definitely. But getting back into it, they know what they can do. They know what they've shown, all right? They know what they're up against, all right? Question is, can they make the necessary adaptation to put themselves ahead of the line? Can they sprint forward? Can they reach that finish line first? It's all up to them right now. I believe we're going to be getting into our match just here in a second, ladies and gentlemen. So just bear with us, and we're going to be getting on in.
Yeah, I think we actually do have map bands ready, so we'll get to
We
see that
do.
wonderful graphic coming in. So as soon as that transitions over, we've got a nice copy of that where Ohio State was banning first. They were team 2, I believe. So they took Consulate off the board, a map that we don't necessarily get to see a whole lot in collegiate play because people like to go towards the more traditional maps, such as how Theme Park will also be biting the bullet. And that means that we get all of the wonderful maps on the pick side that we as casters get to see pretty much every day of Clubhouse and Cafe.
Clubhouse and Cafe, they're pretty much it's standard siege, if I must call it. All right, it's you know what's going to happen, you know what the enemy team's going to bring out. The question is, can you put themselves ahead of the line? All right. Now, when you look at Clubhouse and Cafe, it's very basic. All right, you open up a wall, you get the breach on in, you hit them with the flood on Clubhouse. So with Cafe, it's practically the same thing. You organize yourself with the top down, maybe some vertical here and there, play the cutoffs, and then you put your ocelot onto site. So you know what? It's definitely be a bloodbath.
Yeah, I mean, I like to make the joke that the three maps we're going to be seeing here with Club, Cafe, and Villa, that's the unholy trinity of competitive Siege, because as a caster, you're going to see at least two out of those three maps in pretty much every best of three you see. So I'm not necessarily the most excited about the maps because they're very vanilla to a certain extent. You already touched on it briefly. You know sort of what's going to happen on every single side of every single map. There's not a whole lot of variance that you can sort of go through on these maps. There's the default strats that are default for a reason. They have Pro League precedent. They have T2 with Challenger League, even all the way up in people in T3 run pretty much the same strats. And that has trickled down sort of across the board. But maybe OSU or UIC is going to bring out something different and change my mind, which I definitely would warmly welcome.
Well, the main thing that separates a lot of these tier one, tier two teams from collegiate or tier three teams, or even CCS teams, when that does come around the corner, is more or less the positioning and timing and the maneuverability to play off your teammate. So I'm really going to be interested in seeing on how well can these guys synergize with each other? How well can they push off each other? Who is going to get there first? Who is going to be getting those refrags? Who's going to be helping their teammates, playing the cutoffs and watching their backs is the question we must ask ourselves. So I'm asking for your prediction. Who do you think's got this?
I think with the way that the map bans have gone with very vanilla maps that we're not going to be able to see very much variance. Going off of the information that I have that OSU was able to best UIC just a couple of days ago, it's just I'm going to have to back the big boys at Ohio State. Scarlet, they're a good team. I know a couple of their players like Apollo and Rhino are really good. They're prolific fraggers. So, you just have to think to back that horse for me.
Well, I'm going to sit there right there with you. I think the Ohio State is going to take it. We're going to be getting on in, ladies and gentlemen. Clubhouse we must find ourselves in at the German estate. Going into map bands, or rather, not map bands, operator bands, as most likely going to see very vanilla operator bands. It doesn't really vary. You have your Thatcher, maybe a Hard Reacher here and there. You got your Mira, and then you'll probably ban on something regarding Intel. So, it's definitely going to be rather vanilla.
Yeah, especially the only sort of variance you can see is due to Echo being completely hard banned out of competitive. It sort of does open up that last second defensive operator because you're going to ban Mira. That's just a given. Just like you're going to ban Thatcher as UIC went ahead and took the British man off the board. We aren't going to see those wonderful blue glowing EMPs get thrown at walls and allow for really easy breach. Most likely it's going to add an extra wrinkle such as Maverick tricking. However, there is still the chance for OSU to ban off that operator as well, which we'll see in just a couple of seconds. And yes, actually, we will be seeing the Maverick. That's sort of gonna force the hand of the attackers to go underneath and either get an Ash charge or a Zofia charge, maybe a well-cooked nade right underneath that CCTV wall in order to get those bandit batteries, mute jammers, whatever anti-breaching measures that the defenders are going to allocate over towards that wall. And it could slow them down just a little bit.
Do you think we're going to see a Cade ban here? You got Thatcher, you got Maverick, and if you ban a Cade or have a Cade in play, I mean, that's going to be an extremely influential operator. It's going to take an extended period of time to clear. Not to mention the hatches would take a bombardment of utility through either grenades or even just avoiding them altogether in order to try and take control of the area they possess. But no, it's going to be Lucy. So that's going to be interesting. So that leaves Mir on the board and that leaves Cade. I think this is going to be extremely defender-sided map.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Typically, when I think of Clubhouse with a Thatcher ban, the Kaid has to be linked with that Thatcher ban because it's just going to make it so incredibly difficult to get things off of the hatches. And that's why Basher is just going to be instant locking that Moroccan operator. Sort of interesting to see that the Mira will not be in play because she is incredibly powerful on this map. But that sort of does hinge upon the commitment to the strats that you're going to have, where you sort of are going to be thinking about how it's a given that Mira's banned on every map. So you're not necessarily going to write mirror strats because she's not an operator you can just plug into every single off
Attackers
lineup
need to
that you
locate
have.
and defuse
You
as
really
many
have to
bombs as they
completely
can.
play around it full. Like, you got to double down with the mirror. You've got to have everybody ready to play with it. So you can't necessarily sort of just pull it out of right field. It's probably not going to work as well. Maybe do a touch more harm than good.
You know, it's going to be interesting because with every team, it's been so rudimentary. The mirror's been banned on out that we haven't seen any influence with each other. So, yeah, you know, you can't bring her in. She has that influence. But as you touched on, like, you know, you got to have those mirror strats set up in play. Do we have are the cades on the wall? Ooh. So, if you're wondering what you're seeing right now, can we spectate the CCCV wall real quick? Look at those cades right there on the wall. It's going to be on the left-hand side and the right-hand side. So they can't get rid of those unless they actually throw a grenade through the drone hole, which I do believe is assisted by an ADS, or if you send someone over to CC window and try to find that cade themselves. So that's going to burn a lot of time that Ohio is going to have to try and sketch them on out.
Yeah, exactly. It's a wonderful Cali counter as well as the vertical pressure that we see a lot of teams like to do, because you can just punch the wolf window and place a ash charge right below the wall and you'll get rid of any traditional things such as the bandit batteries or the mute jammers, but a lot of those are going to be allocated over towards the bottom of garage, trying to supplement in with Casacundo on the Maestro up in rafters. A very powerful position held by a very powerful operator, and that's exactly what Apollo is going to be trying to counter. He's already made his way into the bottom over by the motorcycles. He does see the little bit of a backpack coming out on the top, burning away the ADS on the Maestro, making him feel quite uncomfortable. Only about a minute in.
So he's definitely going to be putting some pressure on there. Now that he knows the ADS is in fact burned, they're most likely going to have the sledge rotate on over, see if they can get grenade and lance it down on in towards that 90. You hear it getting cooked over. One flash grenade goes out. They know exactly where he is. The question is, can they land the crucial shots? No! It's going to be Apollo getting flanked from the Jaeger down in blue. Do they have the cutoff though? Yes, they do. That's going to be Zofia picking up the first frag of the round as his fellow teammate has been downed, but is in the down but not out stage. Grenade being cooked on in by the sledge. Not enough damage to do fatal yet, but the second one's going to lance on in, and there it is. Two beautiful frags picked up from the Ohio State, and they're going to be sitting themselves in a great position to take this round with the bandit coming into flank. He's going to have something to say about this. He needs to find a crucial frag to delay this onslaught that's about to occur on site.
Yeah, he's already being spotted out by an acute eye, but it's going to be back and forth as Big Boost drops down. The Bandit Basher taking out the Kaid on site in the meantime. Never mind, the Kaid is still alive as well as the smoke. It's a 4v2 situation for the UIC boys to overcome. They've got to double up their frags as the rest of the OSU attackers are starting to flood in. They've got the breach not open, but they've got a lot of garage control. They can start pushing in this backside as well as the first smoke canisters are going to rain out, and Nitro Cell getting narrowly caught onto a bit of less destruction you will see. And with only about 40 seconds left, it's just not looking too great, especially when your smoke now falls. Big Boost with a triple kill, big frags on him, but he's not going to be doing anything anymore as the Kaid will drop him 6 feet under. 30 seconds still left. Holding the angles, the sledge gonna swing, and that SMG-11 will ring out. Rhino getting a wonderful frag onto Basher, ending the dreams of UIC's defense right there with a nice clinical, surgical precision with that reflex.
Honestly, that was just a clean-cut round through in and throughout. You saw a bit of brilliance coming out there from the Jaeger. He got the frag onto the, or got the down onto the Ash, but he wasn't able to finish it. He had to force the fall off, and the cutoffs were there. Beautifully played from the Zofia right there, and it is a sign of brilliance, I must say. They perfectly executed those cutoffs.
Yeah, exactly. The initial pressure coming out of OSU, it was like they've done it a million times before. It was
Indeed.
It was poetry in motion, to say the least. They just absolutely plucked the player out of rafters, a position that does require a lot of utility. And when you burn away those ADSs and you've still got some frag grenades down below in the back pocket of the sledge, the Maestro just didn't have a fighting chance. Never got to let the Choppa spray down with those 81 bullets of the Alda. He was just kind of stuck. Got hit with so many explosives, so many flashbangs, as the rest of his team tried to flank in and help under the bottom of the garage. But the rest of the team was just holding off all of those angles. They had pressure towards the new blue stairs. They did a nice little pinch off towards that back of blue where the Jaeger tried to tuck tail and run after downing the Ash. It was just really great and well thought out from the attackers.
cut them up like a hot knife through butter. Nevertheless, we're going to see them go back to the same site they just previously defended unsuccessfully. They think they got the change that is necessary in order to put this round out. Doesn't appear to be any changes with the strategy. One thing that I do must question, all right? That garage wall. They decided to reinforce the CCTV cache wall despite the fact no one even put pressure on it. In turn, they leave garage unopened. That's going to be Ohio's for the taken.
Yeah, that's sort of the falter that you would see coming out of a lot of collegiate teams, that they don't necessarily adapt as much as you might see in higher levels of play. But that's sort of what you need to do. Is now Apollo will drop off the Maestro really quickly. They didn't even need to burn utility. They just used the good old-fashioned way of an R4C bullet straight to the dome. That's going to be so much crucial map control for this OSU attack, because their attack hinges upon the pressure inside of Rafters. And Apollo's going to be taking it full on. He's just following in a drone. He's going to be trying to go in as fast as he can, utilizing the kit and the speed of the Ash to directly translate that into a plethora of threats.
Definitely be a good start point. Establishing Raptors control at 2 minutes is going to be ever so crucial. C4 is going to be laid on out, but not enough to do fatal damage. That leaves Apollo around 50 HP remaining to do his due diligence. This one has Sophia as well, pressuring the CCTV window as well as the wall being opened on up. This is a great standpoint for Ohio State to prepare their onslaught onto site. Now, Bandit is lurking below, so he's going to potentially be able to do some damage or even deny the plant with his C4 that's currently in his arsenal. So, unless they're able to get the cutoff onto him or be able to force him on out, he can do some serious damage.
Yeah, they still have 1:20 to start gathering that necessary intel. That's why you see people such as the Ace just droning in. There's a flurry of frags back and forth. Rhino picking up one, but it's answered right back by the Jaeger of Luckshot onto the entry spear point that we've seen Apollo going forward on. Now, 0-2 is just right down below. He's going to get dropped on Batman style as Luckshot picks up his second kill, reclaims Raptor controls for the UIC attack, but it's a floor nade, a beautiful little bit of skill shown off by Rhino. The Sledge at 4-0 is just looking for more and more frags. Still 50 seconds left at 3v2. Man count advantage firmly into the hands of the Ohio State attackers, and they need to start putting a little bit more pressure in on site. Luckshot is kind of lucky right now. He only has about 1 HP to his name. A single sneeze from any operator, a bullet grazing his ankle will put him 6 feet under, but Cosmo still has a couple of toxic babe canisters that he can use to slow down the attackers.
Oh, that's just clean right there. They had the diffuser on in hands. Jaeger placed the cutoff beautifully, and there's Cosmo to shut things on down with the SMG-11. 1 shot and a 2 shot, and he's going to finish things on out with a beautiful flick at the end right there. Oh, that was just absolutely gorgeous. They had the early map control. They had things going for them. They were looking brilliant on the execute. Being able to establish Raptors control very early on in the round, you cannot undermine how exponentially crucial that is. But unfortunately, it was to their own dismay, as Apollo took some damage and Jaeger was able to retake, and Luckshot, well, he lives up to his name, as, believe me, that was no lucky shot. That was true skill right there to be able to retake Raptors control and be able to pour the onslaught onto them. They took the gunfight back and they put themselves on the offense, and they get the first round on the board. So we head down to Church and Arsenal, as the previous site was defended successfully, so they can no longer defend it for the remainder of these next 2 rounds.
Yeah, that's how competitive works. It allows you to see a lot wider variety of sites, as typically a lot of teams do have a standard rotation where Basement will be second on the list, with Gym Bedroom being the tertiary bomb site, because it's slightly weaker, it's a little bit harder to defend. But going downstairs, that's what we're going to talk about, because that's what we're going to see. Having the Kaid here with Basher, bringing the Moroccan with those Electric Claws is going to be just making it so difficult for OSU to get a lot of pressure, because traditionally the most pressure for the defense will come from those hatches inside of Kitchen as well as inside of Bar that drops into Moto. On the side of OSU, they need to get those opened up, but without a Maverick and without a Thatcher, it becomes so hard. You're either going to have to, pardon me, you're going to either have to go down main stairs, and Luckshot's going for a spawn peek. He's not necessarily going to net a kill, but that is sort of setting a nice precedent over towards the rest of the OSU attack, that they can't get caught slacking. They need to understand that UIC is not going to roll over in their grades. They're going to continue to just be bringing the pressure, and now, knowing that the Jaeger is off site, you're going to have to go for this full roam clear.
UIC seems completely unhinged when it comes to the
aggression that we've seen in terms of the positioning from Ohio State. They want to take the gunfights onto them. They want to get aggressive. They want to show that they're here to make a stand for themselves. Well, him making a stand, we shall see. As with the cage right now in play, it's definitely do a lot of damage to these. Ooh, I think he might have gotten it. That's actually huge. Keep in mind, all right? You got 2 hard breachers left on the board. You got the Cade in play. You have to use all of your utility to the best of your capability. Oh, and that's all the utility gone from the ace. That hatch will not be able to get open. Now, keep in mind, they do have a bonnet in play. Cade has gotten rid of one of his charges. These hatches can now start getting unopened, as now you have all the utility left to deny, not in play whatsoever. So that's great map control being established from Ohio State. That's going to be all 3 hatches getting unopened. So most likely going to see a top-down take, as sees the Cade has now decided to put his remaining Cade charge on the church wall, meaning it will not get opened up for the remainder of the round. Luckshot's been caught up with this flank right now. He's going to get spotted on back, but the swing is not going to come through from Apollo. Just waiting for him to come on back, and he's just going to drop him back to site. But no, the cutoff comes from Big Boosh, and Luckshot is going to get shot right on in the back, and that's going to be the first frag of the round coming for Ohio State. Beautiful cutoff right there, and a great read onto the flanking Jaeger. Not so lucky this time around, as he finds himself biting the dust.
Yeah, there's a minute left, and Cosmo's still inside of dirt. If they want to necessarily get a nice crossfire over towards the back of blue, as well as the AK gun rack that we see Kasakudo holding down, they're going to have to go through this smoke. And we've already seen how prolific he is with the SMG-11. Not as much as the AK-12, as the head will get clean off. As well as another one coming out. 2 headshots raining true from the ace. That hard breacher turning into a fragger as soon as those Selmas go down. Another kill goes in. It's a 1v5 situation for the Lonesome Kaid. Not looking too great, but he's going to go and start it off with a TK. Rhino just smelling the blood in the air and wants kills in any sort of fashion. But Basher is holding on to the Alamo. He's just sitting behind this sort of bar, tossing in a nitro, can't quite get it done. He's full blind and he's full dead, as the Ash of Apollo will swing out, take round 3 for OSU, and the lead on Clubhouse.
Well, combo hit him with the Wombo, or combo hit him with the Wombo combo. I wanted to make sure his name wasn't Wombo, and it was actually Combo, and it just stuttered right there, and I'm sad, but it was nice. I mean, I'm not going to lie. That was a beautiful play right in there. He maneuvers himself into dirt, able to get the 1 and the 2, and then followed up with a round win. A beautiful, beautiful execution coming out right there. The true brilliance that I don't want to be undermined from Ohio State is their drones. Look at how... Look at their ability. They spot a guy out and they immediately take that gunfight. There is no fear left in them. They know exactly what they want to do. This is just rudimentary for them. It's like taking an exam that you've already taken 100 times. You already know what's coming for you. They're already ready and you're prepared.
Protect your bombs from being defused by
Yeah,
attackers.
exactly. I mean, this map, it isn't necessarily as defender-sided as once thought because of just how played out it is. A lot of teams really do understand how to attack and break down the primary and secondary bomb sites, as well as the tertiary ones getting more and more difficult to hold because of the presence of horizontal takes going directly into the room that most teams sort of set up. However, I wouldn't necessarily call it an attacker-sided map, and that's the way it's looking so far for OSU. If they're going to continue striking first, and with how dominant they took basement the first round, it was flawless, I believe, minus the TK that came out of Rhino, just getting a little bit too trigger happy. It was a 5v1 situation. You sort of can't have that happen again if you're on the UIC side. You need to know and sort of adjust that, hey, they're going to do a top-down roam clear. Somebody like Luckshot may just try to help out inside of blue, where Neontron was just sort of run over. He had a lot of utility over towards that very crucial backbone of the site with a shield, Wamai magnets constantly regenerating, as well as a formidable weapon in the form of the AUG, but he just kind of couldn't get it done to the player coming down the stairs. He just caught a bullet right between the eyes and was just sort of done out.
Well, we're going to decide to go back down there again to see if they can potentially defend this successfully this time around. As we see the drones coming out on in Ohio, making sure that there is nothing left up to chance and making sure that all those roamers are indeed intact. The impact trick will come out. It's going to be completely and utterly unsuccessful. So 2 impacts wasted, hatch unopened. This is a great start for Ohio. Definitely got some things going on for them as the vertical play will rain down on in to see if the Maestros potentially get a frag of his zones. The shots will rain on down in, but that's going to be the frag for Kasudo. He's going to be able to take out Apollo. That's a great frag right there. And with the Ash out of play, that leaves Sophia as the lone projectile destruction operators. Those Maestro cams, those shields, they're going to stay intact, and they're going to be definitely to the assistance of UIC.
Yeah, I mean, you still have the frag grenades of Sledge with Rhino, but they're going to be trying to frag out the player inside of Dirt. That is Cosmo. We saw him get absolutely sort of ran through last time around with combo, that AK-12, but he's not going to get fooled again. That SMG-11, so proficient in those close to mid-range combinations, as well as he now has a shotgun. He's waiting for this swing to go down as he's locking down that narrow corridor. That's where operators like Smoke absolutely thrive, as the Havana X Kairos Pellets will be opening up another avenue into sight. Potentially a moto drop coming out of an adjustment, because the man count advantage is not looking too hot for OSU. They need to go in and sort of kill anybody. They haven't been able to do that up to this side. Kasakudo's taken a single lick of HP, maybe about 5, but he's also a Maestro, very thick boy who's just going to be able to take a lot of bullets and send a lot back his way.
Well, we're going to see Ace try to see if he can replicate the success, or rather the Sledge, see if he can replicate the success of the Ace, and oh, that's a first headshot right there. That's going to be Cosmo biting the dust. Gonna follows it up with another one. It's going to be Rhino taking the double kill. A triple kill! Rhino going huge! That leaves Basher, the last one alive, in church. The question is, can he find the necessary shots to try and pull this back into his favor? A 1-on-3 he finds himself in. But it doesn't look like anything's going to be going towards his favors. The diffuser comes on down in. That leaves it in a post-plant situation. Rewind the clock back to 45, and we find ourselves with a situation on our hands. He knows where one was residing, but the shots came on down in. He's now at 25 HP. Not a lot to work with. This is the Sledge raining down bullets from the heavens. See if he can potentially get a frag on in and close things down now with the 4K with a beautiful shot right there onto Big Boo. She finds himself on a 2-on-1 situation right now. Basher up against the clock and up against 2 remaining attackers. They're currently pressuring him and trying to see if they can get a frag. Rhino's going to try to 360, see if he can potentially get a beautiful kill cam, but doesn't appear it's going to pan on out. As this round's all but over, the clock dwindles on down, and that's going to be Basher not being able to find one. Rhino's going to go with the swing, but he's going to find no one in sight.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a save KD situation. The Kaid was stuck between a rock and a hard place, as just he witnessed the rest of his team just be systematically eliminated by Rhino, for lack of a better pun or anything. He really gave him the horn. He just kind of sprinted down Dirt and decimated the entire defense. It was just 1, 2, 3 all in a row. The L85 ACOG being put to its absolute full effectiveness, picking up a lot of frags, as well as really just boosting up Rhino's numbers so far. He's at a scoreline of 8-1 right now in 8 KD, because that's the easiest math you can come out. And he's really helping to propel his team forward. They've already secured the split half on their clubhouse attack, which is already really good. If they get any round past this, it's going to set them up for the rest of their defensive side, which is the preferred side of clubhouse. You typically expect a 4-2 split for the defense, but so far, with 2 rounds still left to play, that is mathematically impossible.
Like a Rhino protects its young, he protects his teammates. They were put on the ropes right there. They had 2 early picks coming out against their team, and you know, it didn't look like they were going to be able to put much back. They had a beautiful play from the Maestro, tagging things on in, getting rid of the Ash, but he says, nah, I got this. Don't worry. I'm going to charge on in, and I'm going to show him who the real boss here. And he does just that. Beautiful, beautiful execution onto the site right there. So that's going to force UIC to decide, hey, no, that's maybe not our bomb site. It's probably not going to go in our favor. Let's decide to see if we can go to Cash, bedroom bombs, or Cash. No, bedroom and gym. Cash, they already won.
Cash is actually unlocked right now, so a little bit of a interesting choice for UIC to go for this tertiary bomb site, when their primary bomb site that they do have their singular win upon was not quite comforting enough, I guess. They want to sort of throw a new look at the OSU attacks and see how it sort of pans out. They're going to throw everything at the walls, but they're getting a little bit desperate. Going down 3-1 isn't looking too hot, especially on your clubhouse defenses. Sure, this is OSU's map choice, so you would expect them to be a little bit stronger, but maybe not to the extent of what we're seeing right now. They're making quick work of a lot of the utility. They've already sort of allowed the breaching to go on because they got those bandit batteries off. They have control of gym window. They're just sort of snaking around sites, slowly just wrapping their tendrils around those 2 rooms, gym, bedroom, and making a lot of UIC players really uncomfortable, not having a lot of places that they can stay safe.
Drop will call on down in, but that's quickly shut down from Basher as he bashes Rhino's head in. That'll be the Sledge biting the dust. He finds his second death of the game and won't have any impact on this round. With a spray coming down from Neon, he's actually going to be able to find combos. So that's a great standpoint. They find ourselves in, but no! Ohio's just found themselves in the midst of the site. They're going to be groaning on in and have actually found themselves within bathroom control. No C4 in the hands of anyone on the defensive lineup to potentially frag out anyone residing within bathroom. So they're going to have to be guns up on their positions and see if they can get a frag on the onslaught that's about to pursue. Only Zofia has been able to find himself in the midst of the site, and a great shutdown right there, followed by the trade from Big Boosh. A technical 2-on-2 we find ourselves in. As Apollo and Big Boosh, the Ash and Zofia combo, are going to find themselves against the Bandit and the Jaeger. It's classic Siege if I've ever seen one. The 2 fraggers on each lineup, all against the clock to see if they can find someone. Neon's going to be cut on off from the Zofia. That's going to be Big Boosh finding himself with a triple kill in the round, and that leaves Lucky Shot. Last one down on in as the revival come on through, and Apollo will follow through with his shot. That's going to be Ohio finding round number 5. They started off looking good. UIC, they put themselves on a better standpoint, on a pedestal, if I must say, finding themselves in a 5-on-3, but it didn't matter at all. Zofia finds herself in the site, and a beautiful, beautiful execution if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, I mean, bathroom as a location as a defender, you're sort of not really going to think about until a Zofia sprints through the breach, vaults the rotate, and is just right next to you. And that M762 is quite the prolific rifle. It's so powerful, a top 5 attacking weapon, and it caused so much damage. Big Boosh just went on a bit of a tear, a triple kill in his favor, just completely breaking down every single position that every single defender was inside of. He was just running around like a chicken with his head cut off,
Defenders,
but in the
protect
most
your bombs from
calculated,
being defused
aggressive
by
kind of
attackers.
way, and allowed his team to secure at least a 4-2 split on their attacks, something that I've already touched on briefly is not expected. It's already the flip script narrative, but OSU doesn't want to stop here. They have a 50% win rate on CCTV. They were able to take garage rafters control both times we've seen on this bomb site with relative ease. However, Luckshot's flank is where he got all of his kills that we've seen so far. His flank was so well timed. His gun skill was on
10
point
seconds to
as he was
insertion.
able to get a Batman drop shot out of the rafters onto the
5
player
seconds
over
left
the
before
motorcycles of
insertion.
Harry Potter. However, OSU is a good team
Attackers
at
are moving out
adjusting
to
to
locate
what
a
they've
bomb and
seen.
defuse it.
They're most likely going to be watching their posteriors. They're going to be watching their flanks and not allowing the Jaeger to completely shut down their attack once it started looking so good.
You know, we expected Ohio to come out on top of this. We truly did. But this is just an absolute most hegemonial play I've seen out of them. Their droning is just pristine, their attacks look fluid, and their positioning is just so beautifully working off one another. Oh, Bandit's going to be able to find his head sticking around the corner, but the shots will not rain down and cause fatal damage. So now there is stalemate, waiting for someone to peek on in to see if they can potentially land some shots on out. As Bandit will overextend himself to see if he can potentially find the frag, but find something he has not. The Ash is just patiently waiting around the corner, and the shots will rain down on in, and the Maestro, but he's going to be residing around 40 HP as the onslaught ensues at rafters, and we find ourselves at a stalemate with no grenades doing any damage to cause anyone to perish in the midst of the round. Oh, but that's going to be Apollo. He's going to catch Neon overextending himself. The vault over will come out from the Maestro, but it's not going to result in anything. That's going to be a shutdown, and both rafters players have been cleared out. 2 minutes, no less. That's going to cause the Jaeger to try and see if he can get a flank. He did this in round 1. He tried to see if he can get a blue flank and catch anyone coming up the stairs, but instead he's going to choose to go up secret and see if he can potentially tag someone on in residing by laundry. Might be able to catch Rhino off guard as he is awaiting someone to be flanking him from that staircase down an oil pit, but no one will be peeking their head just on yet. He's going to time his rotation, making sure he can maximize his damage when that flank does come down on in. Smoke's going to drop on down below, see if he can cause some damage. He's going to be rained on in with bullets from Garage, and the beautiful, beautiful flick shot will come down from Garage as Ryan will be able to wallbang him. That leaves us in a 5-on-2 with Diffuser going down on in.
Drop the diffuser.
Yeah, this is going to be a floor bang coming out of Luckshot. No luck there as combo will go down, but it's a flurry of trades. Back and forth, Apollo and Big Boosh landing the final decisive blows onto the UIC defense, where they were able to stop the defusal process, but they couldn't stop the gunplay coming out of the Scarlet Boys, just rushing into sight and taking every single bit of map control. That is a 5-1 attacking half of Clubhouse, where we sort of had to eat our words that we said after the ban phase. This is probably going to be really defender-sided.
You know what? We did say that, but I don't think this has anything to do with it being attacker defender side. I just think Ohio has looked absolutely gorgeous in the way they played. Like a baby frolicking in the wind after it's just been born and released in its mother's arms. They just look so pristine in the way they play, so fluid, and they look like they're coming for blood.
Sorry, I was just cracking up at that analogy because it painted such a picture for me. I was imagining a baby with like Fabio hair just flowing in the wind, straight out the womb with a full mullet, just flowing.
Hey, I mean, that was what I was going for, but I like that image a lot more. So yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Wait, is this all right? So we're gonna see an SSG style rope fight here. Ohio's trying to be a little bit spivvy with it, as they're gonna bring on the castle, bring on all the basic operators. If you're wondering what an SSG hold is, if you somehow have no idea what it is and have been living in a rat hole for the past, 6 months, it's essentially where you castle off the 2 bar walls, have 1 person play in there, 2 people play upstairs, and depending on your team's playstyle, you can either engage in a fall-off, or you can decide to contest the attackers upstairs and see if you can get some picks in, delaying some time. Ideally, if you're a defender, you're looking to delay at least 2 minutes, maybe get a frag or 2, depending on what your situation is, but definitely you want to land at that 2-minute mark. So we're going to be finding ourselves in round number 7 as we find our first defensive setup from Ohio State, as they're going to prepare for the onslaught that UIC has for them.
Yeah, the way the SSG roam is set up, it really hinges upon information denial. So if UIC is a structured roster that's going to be trying to challenge this roam, they're going to find it incredibly hard to drone and gather intel. There's mute jammers, there's vigil cloaking, as well as those Mozzie pests that will just outright make your drone undrivable. It'll take it into the hands of the defender. And looking at what UIC is doing right now, it might not necessarily be the strongest way to attack this site. The SSG roam has sort of fallen out of favor with a lot of high-level teams because people have figured out its counter. As soon as you see all of these wonderful operators, the Legion, Mute, Mozzie, Vigil, Castle, you know it's an SSG roam. So what do? You usually rush blue and dirt at the same time and try to take your 5-on-2 on site, as opposed to your 5v3s over towards locations that aren't as important, such as 3rd floor, which is where a lot of these roamers are residing. 0-2 with the castle, that 1.5 scope attached to it, gonna be trying to take some longer range engagements, wall bangs over towards Jim, but won't find any fruit quite yet.
Curmudgeon kind of fell out of favor, and you know what? That's actually surprisingly true. In fact, I think it almost has a 0% play rate in Europe. However, in Latin America, of all places, it's actually found itself being extended. And we've seen different variations of it. Not that many teams decide to incorporate it within North America. To see it being brought up by Ohio State is definitely interesting to say the least. And speaking of interesting, that's going to be Castle falling off the board as the clear has gone on through. They burned that 2-minute time, but at what cost? You've already lost one of your defenders, and now you're still awaiting potential onslaught onto the bars. We find ourselves with a Vigil still being able to roam down there, so he's definitely got something going for him, and he's already been able to burn a lot of time, so he's going to decide to wisely fall on off. Now it's all up to the attackers, see if they can organize themselves up on a site. Oh, they're still droning upstairs. They have no idea that they've actually forfeited. This could be huge from Ohio. They could potentially deny almost 2 minutes and 30 seconds because of this mute Mozzie combo that has been able to deny so much. Oh no, by the time they realize that they've cleared out the entire room, they've already forfeited down onto site. They don't know
No!
They thought it's something.
No.
That's what they were doing! I thought they were burning an extended period of time. They have no idea the site's downstairs. They're gonna have to push with 10 seconds left. Apollo gets the first frag, followed by another one from the Mozzie of combo. And it's just a flurry of kills raining down. Ohio State has pulled off a successful site fake out when I don't even think they were intending to. My god, that did not just happen.
My hands are on top of my head right now as we just witnessed Ohio State shooting fish in a barrel at the bottom of main stairs as the Hail Mary play was swatted down by the defenders. And I was wondering into the fact that like it was such a slow attack. That's exactly what the SSG sort of Rome is designed for. It punishes slow and methodical teams by forcing them to challenge your Rome head on and not being able to drone. But I thought the attack was just going a little bit too slow because they were scared of the Rome. They were going slow because they thought they had an execute ready over towards Jim. And as soon as that ace hit his F key and dropped the diffuser onto the floor instead of planting, I'm sure he was so incredibly upset. Like, that's just a sinking feeling in your stomach, like you're going over a hill on a roller coaster. And that right there was a roller coaster of a round. We initially were praising the Rome for just killing so much time, but the Rome did something that we didn't even see. It completely mind-boggled the attackers.
So, chat, I'm actually gonna need a favor from you guys, all right? I want you to clip that route, and I want you to tag Unfortunate R6 events on Twitter, because I've been playing this game for 5 years. I've been watching its competitive scene for almost 5 years. Never once have I seen a successful site fake out when the defense wasn't even intending to do a site fake out. I have never, it's unheard of. I've never seen that in my entire life. Have you?
I just don't even know. Like, I'm gobsmacked right now. I just don't even know what to say, but OSU are looking so incredibly strong, and they're on the cusp of taking map 1. They have 5 rounds to play with in regulation. They can do whatever they want, and as long as they don't absolutely throw like a pitcher in an MLB game, they're most likely going to be taking Clubhouse as the victors. And Apollo has the Clash. I mean, with a team that we've seen struggle to break down a Rome as UIC is so hard, they're going to have to be very coordinated and very on point with their utility in order to remove her from Rafters, a very powerful position that you sort of can't go for your traditional executes if there are still defenders up inside a garage.
Now, Collection on Raptors has actually never been done in North America within Pro League or Challenge League, but has been done in South America, specifically Brazil. It's brought out by Team Liquid 1 round and unfortunately didn't pan out in their favor. So let's see if it'll be, a little bit of a flurry of shots raining down on in, but a little bit of a whiff sides from both Big Boosh and Lucky, but nevertheless, Lucky is able to find the frag that is necessary, but that leaves him on 1 HP. If he steps foot in Garage, he will be shocked to death and put in the down but not out stage. Oh, that's a beautiful shot through the hole. Rhino's actually going to tag on Basher to get revenge for that previous round where he was shut on down in. And that leaves Rhino a 10-2 kill death ratio. I mean, that is insane. He's at a what, a 5.0 right now? That is insane.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him frag with the LED5, and now we're seeing him play the hard support role of the smoke. Still just as clinical with that SMG-11 as we've seen other people go up to the side. And with the man advantage as well as a Clash still on the board to slow down the flurry of attackers that are trying to get site control, it's not boding well for UIC. They still don't sort of have anything to go off of. Then as the Rhino picks up his second kill at the bottom of Red Stairs, it's just looking like a closed round even more so. It's a 2v4 situation, 50 seconds left. They do have the diffuser at least with the ace over towards the pavilion, but they're going to be forced to funnel into the breach right into the loving arms with the smoke canisters thrown by Rhino, as well as being zapped away by the Clash of Apollo. It's like being stuck between a rock and a hard place of Diamond and Obsidian. They're going to have to just sprint in and hope to get these frags, and it's just going to be so incredibly difficult.
Shock will come away and might even do fatal damage to the Sophia. He gets tagged on down, and that's going to be a triple for Rhino. That leaves the last one left alive is Neon. Is he's going to have to try and kill 4 people with 10 seconds left to go. He's not going to even find one, as that's going to be 0-2. Closing it off for Ohio State. They take this map by a score of 7-1 in an extremely domineering fashion.
I mean, we're seeing a smoke top fragging. I'm a hard support player myself, and that's something you love to see. You know, that red, white, and blue North American set looking pretty clean, as the rest of the team looked just as good. A scoreline of 7-1 is just dominating fashion for the OSU defense, attack, whatever. Their entire team, they got a 5-1 split on attack, and that's just something unrecoverable for a team on their defense. Like, it's so hard to come back from that, and sort of the mental fortitude that you're going to need to bounce back on a map that is very similarly structured as Cafe. maybe we're going to see them pop off back in a similar fashion because it is their map choice after all. They're going to be a little bit more comfortable, hopefully, as you don't necessarily want to waste your only map choice in a best of 3. But only time will tell as we get into that.
You know, we were talking about those bans, and it honestly looked like it was going to be a defensive setup. The second that they tagged on 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds on attack, I'm like, all right, this is all but lost. Then we switch over to defense, and I'm like, all right, we're not going to see anything more ludicrous than we've already seen. I mean, you already tagged on 5 defensive rounds. Like, you know, that's already a pretty big feat in himself. But to pull off a successful site fake out when you weren't intending to fake out the site is just remotely unheard of. I wish you guys could have seen our faces during that. We were clenching our hair in pure disarray.
What was going on? I was just sitting here, my eyes wide open, trying to pick apart what I just witnessed. But some things are just better left unsaid. You know, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and I guess a video that is a just stream of a lot of pictures is worth even more. And I can't even start trying to unpack that. So we're actually going to be going to a quick 5-minute intermission as we get the lobby all set up. Make sure our I's are dotted, our T's are crossed, and our ducks are in a row. So make sure to stay tuned as we're going to be going all the way to Russia, Cafe Dostoyevsky for the next map, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as us casters just kind of had to take a mental break from what we just witnessed. We're still reeling over the fact that we saw a site fake, but we've got to move past that. My name is ZDabs, and I'm joined by my fellow co-caster in the booth, Hunter Cash. How are you doing today?
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. It was a pretty slow day, but after that, Matt, I'm miles better. I got high vibes all day, and Jesus, I'm so excited to get into Cafe. You know, after what we just witnessed, I can only imagine that we're gonna see an even better rogue shoot.
better showcasing on Cafe as we find ourselves on a more strategic heavy map, right? It's a little bit more dynamic. You know exactly what's going to happen, right? Those standard top-down clears, you have those, and they're oh so silky. The question is Ohio going to face some resilience? Are they going to find the rebels fighting back? Or are they just going to live high as the empire in the sky?
You know, if I see a site fake of top floor with reading, I'm just gonna leave. I'm gonna open up my door and go downstairs. Like I won't be able to physically take it.
Yeah,
But
so you guys need to find new casters if that happens. Like we got to get
yeah,
over
we're
it.
gonna
Like,
have to. I'm gonna have to just peace out and fade off into non-existence. However, you already touched on it briefly. Cafe is a very, very structured map. We've
Mhm.
seen it slowly in a very similar way to Clubhouse because it's been played so much. It's slowly shifting a little bit more neutral. Like right when the
Mhm.
map was introduced, right after the rework of the beloved bakery in Russia, you would see consistent 5-1 defenses, and that's just you wouldn't blink an eye at it. However,
Mhm.
now you're going to see more 4-2s. That's what you expect to see out of the defensive side. But also, we're watching OSU. You never know what can happen. We just saw them take a 5-1 split on Clubhouse Attack.
Mhm.
Granted, that was their map choice, and I'm going to give UIC the benefit of the doubt because this is theirs. Maybe we're going to see exactly flip script narrative. Maybe UIC is going to come out of the ring just swinging, throwing haymakers, and really just trying to get the shock factor.
All right, so we do A, B, C, and then we find ourselves over by D, executing on a site, and it was ever so pristine. However, we're going to be heading over here. Now, again, we touched on this. It's a little bit more strategic heavy. It's a little bit more rudimentary. It's going to be standard. Do you think there's
Yeah,
going to be a fight back?
I think there's going to be definitely, to a certain extent, more fight coming out of UIC. But at the end of the day, I still think OSU is just such a strong team. Everything that they did, like you said, it was like they were going down a checklist. They did A, then they did B, then they did C. So on a map such as Cafe, that's something that's even more important to do. And if they were able to do it on Clubhouse, I have to think that most likely they're going to be able to do it on Cafe as well. And for what we saw out of the two sort of short rounds, the little bit of an insight in towards the UIC attack, they seem to struggle a little bit with breaking down a roam. And with Cafe being such a kind of big map, you've got 3 floors with something such as Kitchen coming out on an OSU defense. There's going to be people all the way upstairs. There's going to be a Vigil or a Jaeger or a Bandit, somebody running around upstairs trying to just waste the time of the attackers. And that has been a thorn in the side of the UIC attack. And I don't necessarily want to say that they aren't going to be able to overcome it because Cafe is a map that you can get a lot better sort of cutoffs. It's easier to roam clear, especially because you can do the same thing over and over again. With pretty much all of your attacks, you can drop New Balk or you can drop Red Hatch and start from there. It can really build a sense of familiarity and just like a routine for the attack that you can just keep on going through, doing the same thing over and over again and perfecting your craft. However, it's not necessarily going to be the easiest thing because the players on OSU have such good gun skill. And after last map, they're probably going to be playing with a lot of confidence.
Most definitely. And heading on into this, I really expect to see kind of that more mute Mozzie time denial way of trying to go about Siege. It was really efficient against UIC, and I expect it to be done again. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be getting on into Cafe. We head over to Russia. We find ourselves for our potential last map of this series. It's Ohio State, UIC. Coming.
Yeah, and with the way the bans could potentially go, most likely going to be very similar and following suit of what we saw towards Clubhouse. There's a lot of parallels you can draw between the maps because they're played so often. Thatcher's really great and most likely going to be banned right here. I'm willing to put $5 PayPal on into your account, Hunter. That Thatcher will be banned out of an
Well,
attacking
I think
operator.
that should be banned as well, but I'd love to take that. Oh, it's the no ban.
No.
Oh, come on. Come on. I can go and buy myself a milkshake with that.
Oh no, I might owe you money. Oh no.
This might be very spiffy.
If they do, if there's a double no ban, I'm actually
Come
gonna
on.
be excited.
Come on. Come on.
Come on. Yay!
I owe you $5, so give me your PayPal for after the game.
All right, sounds
But
good,
Maverick going down. That's gonna allow UIC to have the Thatcher, which actually could help their attacks tremendously, especially when you're gonna take down the Wamai, an operator that is so strong in holding areas such as Pixel and even Bakery all the way downstairs. Those regenerating magnets just being thrown out, ultimate frisbee style, sticking to surfaces and catching projectiles thrown by the attackers, as well as a shield now going out of play. It does seem to be looking like it's might just be helping out UIC in any way.
You know, Wamai's an interesting band because he's got those discs, he's got the shield, he's definitely got an arsenal at his back, and he's been seeing an increase in his ban rate across not just North America, but in every single region. So him being banned out isn't much of a surprise. The fact that Thatcher's on the board on Cafe, though, is something that's remotely unheard of. I can't tell you the last time that we've seen Thatcher up on Cafe. I mean, even before Thatcher bans were kind of standard, you would see Thatcher bans on Cafe because it's Cafe. I mean, you know, getting those walls open, it's pretty much textbook Siege the way you play it, but you always want to increase your speed at which you do things. Not having to go below and not having to clear out those roamers is definitely an efficient way of going about things. We mentioned previously the mute Mozzie combo. Well, we're not going to see the Aussie just yet, but we will see the mute, see if they can delay an extended period of time if they were to go for a roam clear. His ban will drop off, seeing as that there is no Thatcher being played, which is kind of interesting. I'm truly baffled by that, shall I say, considering that, you know, he's probably one of the best operators on Cafe. If I'm not mistaken, he actually has the highest win rate on Cafe at a tier 1 level. So the fact that they're choosing to go with an IQ instead is interesting to say the least. Nevertheless, we will find ourselves trying to cook up a W right here, and so Ohio State will find themselves on Kitchen.
You know, I don't want to gloss over the fact that OSU was typing in chat that they didn't want to give away the attacking ban strat. And, you know, I think I already figured it out. They're an Ash ban kind of team because a lot of teams, when you take away the Ash, it's the way Ash has sort of evolved in this current meta of utility dump. She isn't picked for her gun anymore. She isn't picked for her speed anymore. She's picked to her ability to burn away ADSs and break down shields with those breaching rounds that are very, very effective, as well as still the benefits of having an entry frag with a very good gun and the speed to be just pushed into as much as possible. So a lot of teams do crumble with any sort of Ash ban, but she's going to be played here, as that's just a little bit of analyst potential coming out of here, as Apollo does really seem to like this clash, could be trying to hold down Bakery for as long as possible. So with the way everything's going out, we're seeing the utility dump that I already touched on briefly. They're just going to be throwing in as many projectiles as possible, trying to get rid of this Flash, who's just going to be acting like a sponge. She's going to be the center of everybody's attention. She's going to be the apple of the eye of the attackers. And they sort of have to make sure that they don't look past Big Boosh on the Jaeger. Quite a prolific rifle on the 416C carbine can cause a lot of damage, especially supplemented with yellow pings or any sort of intel that the Clash is going to be offering.
So they're going to find themselves going for a Bakery execute, in which they're going to have 4 people lined out there, with right now Jaeger contesting the sledge in small Bakery. He's not one of the best positions, but it is a position nonetheless that it will be forced to clear out by the attackers. Shots will rain down on in, and he's actually going to be able to get the frag and find himself getting away. Oh, so safe and also free, and they're going to be the first pick of the round as this UIC hitting the dust, followed by another frag as we see a rush on in from the Zofia being shut on down rather quickly, and seems to be a little bit of a falling of the stars. So as UIC find themselves in the back ropes, find themselves in a 3-on-5. Nevertheless, they will try to organize vertical play and see if they can bring this round on in back in their favor.
Yeah, they still have a minute to work with, but there's still so much utility coming out on the OSU side that it's going to be hard to break down that shell of a site. Getting a little bit of breaching from vertical control is a good start. The IQ can use her gadget to remove anything, just like Rhino's going to remove the IQ with a couple of well-placed SMG-11 bullets, making it a 2v5 situation. Basher's going back and forth, trading as he's going to take out the Goyle Shield with one of those breaching rounds. And it's the 2 FBI operators against the world. The positions of these operators are known. Pre-fires coming out of the Jaeger over towards a wedding, small Bakery, as the Clash has now found the eyes and confirmed the location of the Thermite. Now Ash going down, going to be finished off by Big Boosh, double kill for him, and now It's just not a great spot for this Thermite. He's fighting 5 people at once. They're closing in on him. They're flanking, and they're getting the frag as Combo will drop it. It's a flawless round for the OSU defense, as the rest of the players for UIC didn't even really get into sight besides the Zofia. They just weren't able to break down this really wide, extended sight that OSU put forward with so much utility coming out.
Definitely a good way to start off this game. And, honestly, I do believe it's going to be a remote picture of how this map is going to now play on out. No refrags coming out on in from the UIC roster. And from there, we're just picking off fish in a barrel as we find ourselves heading back up to probably one of my favorite sites in the game, Bar Cocktail. Pretty standard of the way it goes. You try to take Christmas control and find your way trying to make your way into sites by getting picks left and right and center before you figure out then which route you would like to flood through. We find ourselves with a potential 6 pick, but no, it's going to be running out of time. So Mice will be forced to stay and play this round, maybe against the wishes of the Ohio State roster.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the utility meta came from just the way that people like to set up Bar Cocktail, with Piano being the backbone of the entire 3rd floor. We're going to see shields, we're going to see ADSs, and we're most definitely going to see a player playing over towards the pixel corner of the white sort of hallway. And for UIC, they're going to have to get in there fast, and they're going to have to get in there with a lot of utility. They can't get spawn peeked. They can't really fall early to a roamer off-site, because we can see players such as Big Boosh just being incredibly impactful if he's going to be sort of playing over on maybe the reading side, maybe anywhere on the 2nd floor, as that rotate hole and those reinforcements are sort of presenting to me that there's going to be some sort of downstairs roaming. They're protecting off those crucial pieces of information, or of real estate. I guess that's the best way to phrase it, as they might actually just leave Rhino down there by himself. He does have a Nitro Cell in his back pocket and could just get a couple of free kills. He can deny pretty much every single default plant site from down below, as well as he's going to have some of those mute jammers to make it more difficult to pinpoint his location.
So they find themselves back upstairs, and it's a pretty default setup coming out right here from Ohio State, in which they'll have to be countered on out by the UIC roster. But one thing that's interesting is that they've actually found themselves with rotation downstairs and reading, maybe in order to try and delay some time or even force someone to clear on out. However, it doesn't look like it's going to be the case. Seems to be a standard execution from UIC as they look to find themselves pushing into Christmas, in which the Jaeger will be aggressing onto. However, he's going to drop on off in order to try and gain a little bit more positional advantage, or maybe even forfeit then entirely, and go back up white and see if he can test his standpoint from there.
The first breach coming out towards top red is a little bit delayed. There is a drop onto Nubauk with Kazukudo just sort of existing over towards that balcony, trying to make sure Heaven is on locks, as well as just keeping crossfires coming out. But he's going to go down at the hands of the Alda Apollo. Maybe he shouldn't have switched off that operator. He hovered the 6th pick, but still quite proficient with the Alda. Headshot reigning true, and man-count advantage going into the hands of the OSU defense, with quite a few roamers still left on the board. Once again, we're seeing a little bit of a sluggish attack coming out of UIC. They might not necessarily have seen a setup like this. Piano has just been sort of made into a kill box. There's long angles opened up through Freezer, a wall that you traditionally see reinforced, and they're just sort of hesitant to go in. They don't know what to expect. There's still roamers downstairs, and that's where Rhino is. He's going to be able to take out Cosmos through the floor, angles onto the rappels coming out as shots go onto Luck. The Zofia taking a lot of damage from that all the way downtown. And now we're going to be seeing Apollo still trying to hold down the site for as long as possible. There's only 20 seconds left. They need to get in as the attackers. They need to try to go for this plant because there's still people downstairs with Nitro shots going back and forth. The Luck shot taking out Combo, but it's a refrag coming out of Rhino. Still downstairs, still has Nitro in back pocket. 13 seconds left. It's a 2v4 situation. The 3v1 now. And the shots coming out of Basher will drop down one more player, but the time strikes 0 as Rhino will finally use that Nitro Cell I was harping on so long. And that right there is denying a default plant area, taking another round out of it for OSU, taking the lead of 2-0.
Well, that's definitely a good way to start that off, or rather finish it off, as the beautiful C4 comes down below. A great rotation, a great call, and great placement for that matter, as Rhino's able to tack on to the already impressive score that he's had throughout this entire series. That's interesting. I reckon that's going to be 6-picked.
You know, I don't think it is.
You think it's going to stick? Ooh.
Darn.
Oh,
I'm
he's
0
got
for
the-
2 now. I am 0 for 2.
Yeah, you almost got it. You almost got it.
Yeah.
What's interesting about this, though, is that they're not running a Jaeger. Now, do keep in mind that Sledge is now 6-pick over to Knock, which, I'm not going to lie, is a quite interesting 6-pick,
Attackers need to
as
locate
majority of the
and
time Sledge
defuse
sees 100% play rate on this map. Not only the fact that he has soft destruction, but also has grenades at his disposal, which is never so useful gadget. Keep in mind, Knock also does have grenades, with no Jaeger or Ramai in play, as one is banned and one is not being played. It's definitely going to assist that endeavor to try and get a successful frag with them.
Yeah, this could potentially be a white push because there's a lot of speed coming out on the attacking lineup. But sort of the opposite of speed would be Luckshot on the Monty, a very slow and methodical character. So I'm sort of torn on where I think this attack is going to go. They don't have a lot of vertical potential. They don't have a sledge. They don't have a buff. I don't necessarily know. Yeah, the only person with breaching charges is the IQ of Cosmo. And there are actually a couple of drones down the bottom of white. So could potentially just see a little bit of a rush track coming out of UIC, trying to catch OSU off guard, the complete opposite of what we've seen out of their attack so far. They've been slow. They've been sort of having to throw Hail Marys over towards site on pretty much every round. However, that's sort of just a null point, as they're all going to go up to the roof. Everything I just said is completely wrong, and they're just going to be trying to break down this vertical roam.
So they're going to be going for the initial clears. They try to drone anyone out residing in the downstairs area. Keep in mind that there is a Cade who's certainly sitting alone with no assistance, so he's going to try to get forced out by the Cade, and the shots rain down on in. That's going to be combo in the deck for the remainder of the round. Thermite finds first frag of the game, and they're already deciding to go for the wall. A great standpoint that UIC finds himself in if they were to come out with this round on top. That's going to force the... Oh no, the Clash is rotating. They might not know about him. He's coming up the staircase, oh, but it's read beautifully by Big Boosh, and that's going to be the Doc finding the first frag of the game as the shots are raining down on in with the extension coming out. But no, you're forgetting about your teammate. There's a Clash there. Oh, no. The extension comes out from the Clash and is able to tag the shots down onto the Thermite, so we don't find ourselves in a post-plant scenario. Bash just find things on in, and so he's going to bash Big Boosh's head on in with some shots raining down on into the castle, but nothing doing fatal damage just quite yet. He finds himself on 1 HP. And is trying to back on off and see if he can take a leader engagement. IQ is going to see if she can progress on over towards 90 Hall, but right now Apollo's in a very terrible position. Once the smoke disappears, one of them is going to be dead, and that's going to be the Clash finding the first frag. So that's going to be Cosmo. Dipping on down through the dust, and he's going to try and dip down on in, see if he can try and reorganize himself and come back through white. We find ourselves in a 2-on-3 situation.
You know, there's potential for another smoke plant to come out, but Luckshot is taking the diffuser all the way into pillars. They've called the audible, and they might not know that Apollo has gone up brown. Now his position is confirmed with the eyes of the Monty, and he doesn't see the Ash, who's going to expose his side, take him out, and even up the man count at an even 2-2. 0-2 doesn't have a whole lot of HP, but neither does Luckshot, so it's even on that front. But Rhino's still on the board, arguably the most prolific fragger we've seen on either team. Still alive with an SMG-11 in his hand, doesn't quite bode well for the attack. But as the plant's going down, it's a Monty Turtle coming out, but 0-2 will be able to find the kill on its trades back and forth 2 in a row. Basher and 0-2 bouncing back and forth. But with only 15 seconds left, Basher needs to either go for the frag or needs to go for the kill, and that's what he does! What a wonderful frag coming out of the Ash, being able to use those open angles to his advantage instead of the defenders. R4C is going to beat out the UMP from that range. And that's the first round of attack from UIC across either series. They moved a lot faster than what we've seen so far, and it did work out.
Oh, that's just beautiful right there. We saw a little bit of mishap earlier in the round with Apollo being able to snag his way on in and kill the Thermite, but Basher comes to the rescue and just gets a marvelous 4K, able to salvage that round and around, which was so rightfully not theirs. But that's a fight back. It's looking pretty good for UIC. You know, they got some rounds on the board. Well, a round on the board, and they're looking to tag on a few more if they shall. Sledge choosing to go to the Capitao and forfeit of the nades again. Quite interesting to see that Sledge is not in the favor of the UIC roster.
Defenders,
Yeah,
protect your
Sledge is
bombs
an
from being
operator
defused
that
by
nades
attackers.
are incredibly valued in the current utility dump meta, especially with the defense that we saw the first time around for OSU. That wasn't necessarily a vertical roam. It was a horizontal one with a lot of shields and a lot of just players in positions that you might traditionally think are vacant, especially over towards Christmas and the bottom of the brown stairs, as well as people inside a bakery. The Clash was just bearing the brunt, the entire force of the UIC attack, and then Big Boost was just kind of chilling. He was just waiting for
10 seconds to
the
go.
necessary confidence and understanding of the position of the attackers to just
5
swing out
seconds to
pre-firing.
insertion.
And when you have a Jaeger with a very powerful gun, pre-firing and knowing exactly where you are,
Attackers must locate
it's not
and
necessarily
defuse the bomb.
looking too good on the attacking front. So if they sort of play into the exact same way we saw last time, it was a flawless round for the defense. Not a single frag went under the
Attackers
side of the
located a bomb.
attacking front, and they have a lot of work to do this time around.
Well, a lot of work they have to do, and it looks to be so far really decent as they decide to go for the top-down push in order to favor themselves within a better position to clear out these roamers. However, no one's residing up there, so a little bit of a waste time, shall I say. However, it does appear that with this lineup, I would be surprised if they actually go for a white push. If you look at the position of the defenders right now, it is definitely more favorable for them to go for a white push, considering there's only 2 people residing back there, and I do believe there is an extension into Bakery as well. So that's definitely going to be their most favored and heavy standpoint, and considering that they saw no success trying to push Bakery last round, it would definitely be a most favorable standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, Rhino on red now locking down coat check is going to offer a really nice crossfire because that red wall is opened. He can deny the entry into both prep as well as the reinforced wall that has a giant gaping rotate hole inside of it. But a nice adjustment coming out of OSU will be going for vertical play as opposed to just going headstrong right into the roam of OSU. They're going to try to just pick them off from above. These are angles that are not necessarily the easiest thing to challenge. You're going to be having the high ground Anakin as the attackers with superior rifles. If you know a general idea of, hey, somebody's in this corner, it's going to be a lot easier for you to go through. As well as now they're going to be able to open up the hatch on the backside, offering a nice sort of plan B, a absolute emergency drop into sight that typically over towards that area will be a death box, especially if there's nitro cells such as the Goyo and the Mute have. However, most likely the execute will not go over towards that way. They're still going to just try to uproot all of the players inside of sight and start executing over on the Bakery side as they make their way down.
So they're going to try to organize themselves by pushing down on red, but I don't know if this Jaeger's been quite spotted on out. He can do some serious damage right here if they have no idea where he might be residing by, but it does appear that Capitao has decided to fall back on off and make sure that they are in a better standpoint in order to try and push this guy on out. The question is, have they spotted them out? They're pushing a coat check, and he's going to be able to find the first frag. That's going to be Rhino fighting the dust, and now it's going to be the push in from the Sophia, and a beautiful shot right there onto Big Boosh. That leaves OSU not one of the best standpoints. The Clash will unextend her shield, and the shots will rain down from the G8. No shots hitting any fatal damage just yet, except for the one on combos to be able to find Kasudo. Luck shot on the other side of things to be able to find Apollo, but meanwhile the diffuser will be going down. Ohio State finds himself in a 2-on-4 situation and up against the ropes. Question is, will they be able to fight back? No, not at all. That's going to be a great shutdown from UIC and a beautiful standpoint that they find themselves on in. Seeing as that the shots will be rained on down in. And a beautiful round, tacking on back, we find ourselves at 2 apiece.
Yeah, it's looking a lot better for UIC. That's 2 rounds in a row out of their attack. Or pardon me, 1 on... Wait, no, it was 2 in a row. Never mind.
Yeah,
I'm just sort of in La La Land. However, what's been really nice is that their attacks are coming a lot faster. They're seeming to slowly build more and more confidence, as OSU seems to have a sort of little bit of overconfidence. They're overextending. They're peaking angles they shouldn't necessarily do, and they're underestimating, pardon me, the sort of skill level that we're seeing come out of the UIC team. You can't really look past them. They're still a strong team, and they're going to punish the mistakes that you're going forward. As we've seen, they're neck and neck. They're even, unless OSU has some crazy stuff coming out of their attacks. If they get the 3-3 split for UIC, they're going to be on the favored side and could potentially take map 2.
Attackers have located a bomb.
So they're decided to go back upstairs, which they previously defended successfully, as we saw a beautiful C4 come out from Rhino residing below. So they're going to choose again to go with the same exact setup, if I'm not mistaken, except for this time around they're going to get some vertical play on in, see if they can rotate some of the cameras and barbed wire to favor their defensive setup. But the overall setup is still going to be theirs. They're still going to have some presence downstairs with that rotation that they use ever so beautifully in hand, and try to use their advantage, negotiating their way in and out through the movements and the positions of their own teammates. We find ourselves at 2 apiece heading into round number 5.
Yeah, we're going to see the same extension coming out of OSU once again. They have a lot of pressure downstairs where nitro cells are aplenty. It's going to be like walking on a minefield if UIC is able to get into sight. We've already seen a couple of kills. The players down below, such as Rhino, do know the lineups for the necessary spots. Over behind minibar, towards the trash bags, maybe even on long desk of that long bar. They know where to put those nitro cells to get free kills. And when you have some sort of utility such as the Maestro cams just watching over sight, if UIC doesn't do the right kind of utility management and aren't able to get those cams, it's going to be very, very hard for them to get a plant down. Sort of on the flip narrative that they got a plant down with relative ease over towards Bakery. This is the complete opposite site. Instead of a horizontal roam, they have to go against a vertical roam that they were not able to break down last time. There's a lot of pressure, such as Big Bush inside over on the stage, just pre-firing away. He's going to drop off and join his teammates down below. And there's quite a few.
So, a lot of damage to be dealt with there. Oh, that's a beautiful swing right there from 0-2, and he's going to be able to find not 1, but 2! A double kill on the round, and that is a great standpoint which Ohio State finds himself in. It's just a rivalry we would try to be found right here. Sophia swings around the corner, and she'll tag on in. Beautiful refrag right there as Luckshot will try to put things back in the favor of UIC, but they've got a long way left to go as they find themselves in a 4-on-3. Bandits still lurking below, as well as the Mute, but the shots will rain down on in. Luckshot, he's being able to put things back on in with the shot coming down from the Sophia. The Bandit will try and swing on out, but he won't find a shot just yet. The refrag does come through, though. Combo is able to find Luckshot, and they find themselves a 3-on-2 man advantage. Yet again, it's down to Cosmo and Basher to see if they can put this round back in the favor of UIC.
Yeah, the Ash is doing quite well for herself at a 6-2 scoreline right now, looking a lot stronger than we've seen on the rest of the roster besides Luckshot, who's picked up 5 frags for his own. But Basher's going to be the spearhead of this attack. They need to push white because they're sort of out of options. They don't have any hard breach remaining, just a soft breacher and a way to get rid of utility. And there's a nice crossfire coming out as white stairs will be very heavily contested by the Bandit at the top of them. They need to pre-fire away him. They need to try to challenge him out as there's only 20 seconds left. They have to funnel themselves in somewhere, and they haven't quite decided quite yet. As now one shot will go out right onto the head of Cosmo, leaving it just up to the lone planter, and he's going to swing and take out the second as well. A double kill for the Alda. All 81 bullets used to full extent. And another round on Cocktail for OSU as they reclaim the lead.
Well, they reclaimed the lead, and now it's all up for them for the taking. So, you found yourself at a 3-2 split. We talked about that 4-2 split and how it was ideal. Now, do keep in mind, look at the bans, okay? Only 3 bans this time around. They chose to forego that potential attacking ban. Do you think it's been to the detriment of their team, though, is the question we must ask ourselves. Right now, they have 1 attacking round left, and they're going to have, or defensive round left, and I know that they're definitely looking for that 4-2 split. Under no circumstances do you want 3-3 split on Cafe. You don't come out with that, the same zazz that you feel if it was 4-2.
Yeah, I mean, the way I have to think about the bans is that they said they wanted to hide it and save the strat. So I don't think it's necessarily a very common ban, such as Thatcher, who is now being brought for the 2nd time in a row, and that's actually his only 2 appearances we've seen so far. But my prediction earlier on was that it was an Ash ban that they're trying to hide. And the Ash has been seen every single round out of Basher, who's doing quite well for himself. So it might be to a little bit of the detriment of the OSU attack that they're, or defense that they're not used to potentially going up against the Ash with an R4C and so much utility, especially with heavy shield setups as they like to go for. Those Goyo shields are kind of marked for death, and they also, as soon as they're destroyed, they vacate the presence around them. You can't play on the shield once it gets blown up for about 10 seconds, as well as if you're sitting on it when it blows up, you're probably gonna die because the initial 50 damage plus the 50 damage you would get from the Ash charge plus all that fire is a recipe for disaster.
Most definitely indeed. As they find themselves, instead of going for a full clear, they just go for a half clear this time around. They make their entrance onto the second floor. However, might be to the detriment of themselves, as we do have 0-2, who's actually roaming upstairs with the Melusi. Keep in mind, he was previously banned out on this past map. So this is the first time that we're going to see her in effect as roamer, seeing if she can make her way down white stairs and potentially get a pick to the attackers trying to reside upstairs and reading and mining and dining, trying to get that vertical play and see if she can do some serious damage. And do keep in mind, they are not aware of her positioning. If she were to crouch down right now, she would get the frag onto Luckshot. Question is, are they aware of the position? Can they be aware of the position? Because it doesn't appear they are.
Yeah, it's like a he doesn't know situation where Luckshot's just holding the bottom of white, but the top of white is what he's directly under the pressure from. Maybe a little bit of a sound cue going out as he's going to start peeking. It's a stalemate. They just don't know. It's a game of cat and mouse coming out of 0-2 as on the roaming side of things, he's already killed a minute and a half and is still alive, still able to go for any flank he so desires because there's not a nomad or a gridlock on the side of UIC, as now Rhino will get the first frag. That's the Ash. That's a lot of utility going down, as well as the sort of player and operator that has been giving you the openings to break down the defense. He's been the one getting the door cracked and allowing the rest of the attackers to fully kick it down and get towards site control. You're going to be going without that for the rest of the round, but Kasakudo is going to be able to pick up right where the Ash finished off. No more mute, no more high fragging player in the form of Rhino will be on display so far, but the rest of the attack has been really slow. They have a little bit of vertical pressure. They have those breaching charges going down, but Combo's going to get a wonderful shot of refrag onto the Capitan. No smokes, no fires coming out of that crossbow.
So it's going to be a 4-on-3 situation with the roamers still in play. Melusi can do some serious damage. The entrance is going to come into Bakery, but the shots will not rain down on in. The trade will come. So that leaves them at a 3-on-2 situation. Keep in mind the roamer is still in play. So an effective 2-on-2 for the remainder 10 seconds until we're able to get this onslaught settled away onto site. They're going to go run on in. No fatal damage done just yet to the Thermite. He's going to try and detonate a Koyo and potentially get a plant down on in. They hear the unextension from the Clash, but he does not even remotely attempt to check it. That leaves Sophia in a 1-on-3 and no one swing just on yet. So it's all down from here. He's going to get shocked on down. The bullets rain in and time runs out. Well, she never gets final kill, so I'll just stat pad right there if I've ever seen one, and it's Ohio State. They're going to be able to take this round on out, and they're going to take this split. That's a 4-2 right there.
Yeah, it wasn't looking the best for OSU because it was tied up even Steven at round 4 with 2-2. However, they bounced back on their defenses. Third floor in conjunction with the basement were locked down, and they got the split that they so desired, and they're setting themselves up to at least go to overtime. Worst case scenario for them, unless their attacks absolutely flop like a fish out of water. But with the way that they looked on Clubhouse, that most likely will not be the case. Their drone work is impeccable. They understand exactly how to go through their checklist. They take map control with a lot of authority. They're really smart with their utility, and they just kind of sprint in guns ablazing. They like showing off their gunplay. They like getting those frags. They have operators like the Ash and Sophia that Apollo and Big Boost will be manning, just getting into aggressive positions fast, making the defense feel uncomfortable.
So they're going to find themselves in the midst of the top floor as they decide to go to, I'd say, the predominantly favored bottom side. Now, the strat they're doing, obviously, is a freezer hold where they decide to open up the right-hand side of the wall and delay for an extended period of time. That ADS, however, on the freezer wall can get shot from Skylight, so that's going to get cleared out very easily, and we're mostly going to see that shield end up being cleared. I can't imagine they go for an east side take with this lineup, but line in play, it's definitely telling of a Christmas take and then a very heavy flood on it.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as Luckshot is removed from that position, you have so much access into sight with the current setup of the UIC team. But taking Pixel and taking piano control is going to be a little bit easier said than done. You've got Goyo shields, you've got ADSs, as well as the crossfires from both Freezer and the cocktail minibars underneath the new balcony hatch. If there is going to be somebody just playing that area like a crackhead, he could swing in and just kind of do whatever he so desires. But that most likely will not be the case, as all the hatches are open. There's somebody on Skylight. They're trying to make sure that those locations will not sort of be used against the OSU attack. They're just understanding exactly how this setup works, because they do a very similar one. You sort of attack how you defend, and if you're comfortable defending a certain strat, you're most likely going to be just as strong attacking it because you understand the weaknesses of it to a higher level. We're going to have to see those ADSs burned and most likely some sort of projectile, maybe a nade, maybe a Zofia lifeline, or a breaching round out of Ash's launcher coming through to send that to a fiery grave. And that's exactly what Apollo wants to do. You already see the launcher in the hand, the shields being pinged out, everything being burned, free fires raining through as the fire will explode like the Vulcan volcano that the shield is named after. Now, the only sort of shield that is offering any sort of protection over towards the piano, disallowing the full attempt of the attackers to taking that map control, is going to reside inside of Freezer. The utility can be burned a lot easier because 2 of the ADS is already gone. There's no Wamai. Flashbang's coming out. Basher's under a little bit of pressure with that softball not offering a whole lot of protection for him once that Goyo shield reigns true. The base boost, the EE1D coming out of Lion will sort of freeze everybody. And that's kind of exactly what the UIC defense wants, as Luckshot's going to be sitting right here waiting for somebody to swing. Basher taking out 0-2 is going to be another frag coming out. Not quite yet, but 0-2 getting a second kill, looking quite nice.
Shots will rain down in through Freezer, and Rhino will reign supreme as Basher falls and hits the deck. There's 40 seconds left on the clock in a 4-on-3 scenario. This is anyone's game at this point. Onslaught will rain down onto sites as the defenders and attackers see if they can get something to put it back into their favor. As we find ourselves in a stalemate right now, 3-on-3, as Big Boosh has been able to find the shot to the end. Oh, but that's a gorgeous shot right there. Maestro of Kasakudo is going to be able to find one, followed by a luck shot finding another. It's all down to Big Boosh on the Ash. We've seen him in this spot before. We've seen him win it in this spot before. Question is, can he replicate the same success this time around? Isn't aware of any of the positions, doesn't have the diffuser in hand. He's going to have to charge on in and see if he can get something going. Getting swatted out by the Maestro cam. He's going to go for a sprint around in the corner, getting shocked away. They're not going to be able to find him, but he will be shut on down. UIC taking this round and putting the first defensive round in their favor. We find ourselves at a 4-3 score line, heading into our next one.
You know, I'm interested to see exactly where UIC is going to be going for their second defense. And it will be kitchen. So they're going all the way down to the first floor. We haven't seen a whole lot of reading play coming out. But with the strength of their third floor hold, I'm going to assume that their reading defense will also be strong, because most teams like to play it in a very similar fashion to third floor bar cocktail. You can still hold on to vertical pressure for as long as possible. And if the attackers are able to take that vertical control, it's not the end of the world. You can fall back and go back down to sight, because guess what? It's not sight. They still have to follow you down onto the second floor and get a plant over in that location. But now, all the way down on the first floor, if they implement some sort of vertical roam, then it's going to really waste the time of Ohio State. They're going to have to go through every single floor, drone proficiently, make sure every single corner, rat angle, underneath every table is all cleared out, and won't be sort of hiding a defender just sort of waiting to pounce like a tiger in the tall grass.
Bomb located by attackers.
We find ourselves going back down to kitchen, where it does appear we might have an extension, if I may see so myself. As yes, a bakery extension is what we'll find ourselves at, as they'll set themselves up for the onslaught that Ohio State will definitely rain down on them. Now, something that we haven't seen out throughout this entire matchup, Thatcher will be in play. We were talking about this as you thought he would be banned on out, but in all reality, he's actually just found himself, well, gracing the scoreboards only in round 8. I'm quite surprised by this.
Actually, he was brought the 2 times at the very end by UIC, which I did think was really interesting that they didn't just utilize him from the beginning. They sort of only used him at the end, so he wasn't that memorable. And he wasn't really used for any sort of traditional utility burn. He was just an afterthought to a certain extent. But seeing him on a heavy defensive setup like this, where the Electro Claws are really protecting a lot of necessary map control, such as inside of prep, they can open up that long angle with relative ease. However, they are going to have to take Luckshot out of Bakery in order to do that. He's got ADSs, he's got a bunch of utility. As an EMP will maybe try to disable it as a nade comes through, flashing in with a Nomad, as that upside down rappel is going to work wonders. Big Boosh taking the head off of Luckshot after he was put into the DBNO state. Will start boding well for the OTSU attack. They got the first pick, and now they have a lot of pieces to go through, especially when Kasakudo goes down. Big Boosh making his name known, continuing to push on into site and challenging those long angles that the Alda was trying to lock down.
Well, ZK aggress on up, and he's been able to find the head of Apollo. He's gonna drop on down and try and level the playing field. However, he's gonna get thrown on back through the whiplash caused by the Nomad set up on the small bakery door, and he's gonna force a retreat, go back up the staircase, and reassess his positioning. Keep in mind this castle barricade is still up, and if anyone were to go through that rotate hole, it's almost certain death for anyone deciding to come by it. So they're instead gonna try and position another air jab over by the flank to ensure that he doesn't go for another flank. However, just sitting on by there patiently as the wall will get opened on up by the Ohio State attack. Already setting up for a standard bakery clear. They got everything set in their favor right now. See if they can tag one thing on in, and that will be another one that definitely goes in their favors. The Cade will get shut on down. That's the entirety of red presence whittled on down, and the Nomad is left. See if she can find anyone else flanking. But with no position set on end site, it's down to the castle in the smoke, running the 1.5s, lay the onslaught onto site.
Yeah, another EMP going to go down, trying to take any of that utility away. A smoke canister going in, trying to deny the plant, but it seems as if the Thermite's just going to stick it. He gives his life for the plant. That's good. Any good support player will go down. The clock reset back to 40. It's a post-plant situation, 4v2 for the OSU attackers to hold on for dear life. UIC has to get on the aggressive. They have to get these frags, and they don't have a whole lot of time to do it. Only about 14 seconds remaining to get all the necessary picks, and it's going to be a flurry back and forth. Basher being able to take out Big Boosh, but 0-2 answering back onto the lonesome smoke, and the last bullet delivered by Combo, dropping the wombo on him. Cosmo going down. OSU with a beautifully executed attack on the kitchen. Looked so textbook.
We're going to find our way on in to round number 9 as... So for States, yes, they're the lead. It's 5-3, but it's been pretty convincing from UIC. I mean, if they're going to pull it on back, they're on defense. They're going to a bomb site. They haven't defended before, but you know, they've been able to waste a lot of time. They've been able to delay that onslaught. I'm not going to lie. Running the bakery extension with the Thatcher up on the board was truly harming to the players residing in there. They got picked out on early, and they almost brought it back, but fortunately, Cade was shut down the flank. I do believe if he was able to get the frag onto the Nomad there, put it into a 3-on-3, that maybe that round could have gone just a little bit different. So see if they can try and put things back into their favor. We find ourselves heading over to Reading. See what they're going to do. Most likely a top-down extension, I must say.
Yeah, that's the traditional way to defend Reading because it's directly below the third floor bomb site that most teams have and are very comfortable defending as their primary bomb site. So Reading's definitely the most interesting bomb site from any analytical standpoint out of the entire map, and arguably the entire map pool, because there are very sort of distinct ways to play it, with most teams really just throwing as much utility as you want upstairs and falling back early as soon as you show face and start getting pressure. However, there has been a sort of resurgence and a renaissance to the way that a lot of teams on the attacking side like to push this bomb site. You don't necessarily need a whole lot of vertical pressure if you just sort of dip your toe in the water with the SSG, as Luckshot almost lands a beautiful heady on the Big Boosh, but he's only going to take about 25% of his HP. But going back to the point I was saying is that a lot of teams have gone for a more horizontal take, where you just sort of take piano and you maybe nomad it off, and maybe just make sure that a lot of players can't flank down red, and then just go into dining. Hope that the players inside of Reading, or maybe the players on top of white, don't have the necessary angles to shut down your plant. And that's what we did see come out of UIC on their attacking round, but they just sort of rushed into train and were able to get a plant nearly at the hands of the Monty, but it ultimately was the Ash of, I believe, Basher just hitting a wonderful shot to ice it out, and it was a little bit too close for comfort. However, with the way that OSU attacks, they feel very comfortable breaking down any sort of utility set on foot by the UIC defense. They're going to go a little bit more a traditional way. They're going to do a top-down roam clear. They're going to make sure that people with breaching charges, such as the 0-2 on the Thatcher, will be able to shine.
Oh, beautiful shot rains on down in. Apollo will rain hell onto Basher's skull right there. And that's going to be the first pick of the round, finding itself at 1 minute and 40 seconds. Beautiful. What? Huh? Look shot. Bro, come on, man.
You know,
that's unfortunate. Well,
yeah,
at least Neon's able to tag things on back on in as he will displace his frustration throughout the chats. But, I mean, it's good for OSU at least, you know, taking the Mozzie off the board. That's no room presence anymore. Well, soft room presence, I should say. See if Kasuto can try and get aggressive and find himself in a better position. He's actually going to find himself in bathroom. Now, if there's any position to try and aggress up and potentially get a frag, it would be in here. If he were to try and challenge right now onto the Ash, would find her on cams. But unfortunately, he's going to overstay his weight. And he's going to get tagged on down. Thatcher running the AR-33 of all weapons is going to be able to tag him on in. That leaves it 4-on-2. We've seen Neon and Cosmo here, and so far we haven't seen them have any success while put in this position. They're going to try and challenge the vertical play. He's going to come down. That's a great way to start off the round. Can he get the finish, though, is the question.
Yeah, it's the two SAS operators, shotguns and SMG 11s in hand, trying to just, actually, never mind, he has an MP5K. A little bit of an unorthodox pick for that operator, but if you're not comfortable with the SMG 11, why not just go ahead and take a more traditional primary rifle? But only 15 seconds-ish left for the OSU attack, and they don't have sight control. The first of the smoke canisters will go and lock down that reading door. A second one coming in as well, as they're going to have to breach pillars and just kind of flood. They might go right into the loving arms of Cosmo, as Neon is going to be able to take out one. He swings and he gets out two. It's a refrag coming out of the backside, but it's a 2v1 situation. Cosmo can just kill the diffuser, but he's going to have to go through Big Boosh, as now he's going to be able to down the planter and take the most improbable round out of the team. It was a 4v2 situation, but it doesn't matter when you get those necessary picks. The rest of the attackers were just too sluggish. They were playing with their food too much. They were too timid to go into sight, and it bit them in the butt.
Well, that's a great way to start off this comeback, shall we say, from UIC. Keep in mind, a 4-on-2 scenario. They hadn't won it out before, but this time around, they're able to shut things on down. They've been put up there before, and this time they come out on top with that experience and the knowledge in mind, as well as the damage dealt previously. It's definitely a good place to find themselves in. See a rather interesting pick come out again, as we see that line. We've seen this time and time again throughout this matchup, but we haven't seen much success from it. So they're choosing to bring it out again. Do you think it's the right decision?
You know, they haven't necessarily had a lot of trouble clearing the roam, and that's what I like to think the Lion pick would be used for, in similar fashion to bringing a Dokkaebi. So maybe it's just a comfort out of the weapon, because 0-2 isn't necessarily doing the best on the fragging side of things. I mean, 6, 4, and 6 is nothing to scoff at, but with the sort of absolute dominance on the guns play side of Clubhouse we saw, isn't up to the standards that OSU is most likely trying to go for. But, I mean, it's 3 more flashbangs at the end of the day coming out of OSU to try to help burn the utility that they did sort of struggle to clear the people out of the freezer. That was mainly Basher with that shield, sort of peeking on it like it's a bootleg Nero window with the head split, as well as just being able to crouch behind the shield and pop up with intel. They didn't necessarily struggle on the utility burn over towards Pixel, which is usually what would be a little bit more difficult. So it is just still it is an interesting pick coming out, and I guess I'm just going to attribute it to a comfort pick out of the player.
Well, smoke will rain down on in, trying to burn the ADS with anyone residing over by Pixel. That's going to be a luck shot over there. Now, seeing as the ADS has been cleared, he's currently sitting on a Goyo shield, so if that were to be shot on out by the Ash or the Zofia, then we would definitely be taking a significant amount of damage. The wall trying to get on open, the map control being established by Ohio State. They've definitely got some stuff going for them. Now they just need to try to get the shot onto the Goyo, but oh, that's just going to be a beautiful shot there from Luckshot, and he's going to get burned alive through the smoke and flames residing out of the Capital Firebolt. That's going to be a beautiful trade coming back on through. We sit ourselves at a 4-on-4 with pixel control being firmly set in place for the attackers.
Yeah, CapitãO being left up with a Wamai ban, not necessarily the best thing for the defense for that exact reason. ADSs don't stop those crossbow bolts. That's only something Wamai can do. And the poor Goyo of Luckshot was burnt to a crisp and was removed without sort of any utility to pay the price. Sure, he got a kill onto Apollo, a well-placed headshot with the pixel angle of the shield, but Combo's taking so much damage from the Maestro cam. He's onto about 15 HP, and that's a blunder on the attacking side. Kasakudo trying to finish off this last operator, but it's going to cost him a Maestro cam. A really crucial piece of utility just being taken out by bullets as opposed to having to allocate explosives isn't necessarily the best thing. It's not something ideal in any case scenario. But Free Fire is coming in as Basher hits the fadeaway. A headshot onto Rhino will ring true, taking the man count advantage back into the side of UIC's defense. It's a 4v3 situation with Combo not on a whole lot of HP. They have sort of piano control, but they're holding on to it like with a thread. They still have to push down White. They still have to push Freezer. They don't have a direction on their attack, as well as the diffuser isn't in the hands of any of the attackers.
Oh, beautiful execution on the sight signs. Success as the Ohio State will find Combo entering on in through the freezer as he's going to find the first frag. Put up against the walls right now. Neon's going to try and see if he can go for the flank to land some shots on him, but the whip from the Maestro won't reside with anything but absolute failure, but he will find later success as he's able to get not only one, but also the follow-up with his teammates of Cosmo. UIC are able to find themselves in round number 10 victors. We'll be heading on into the next one as we get ever so closer to overtime.
It's a tie ball game here on Cafe. It is 5-5. And I really do have to commend the UIC roster for having the mental fortitude to bounce back from an absolute trouncing on Clubhouse to keeping this map incredibly close. Anything OSU has been able to do on attacking, on defense, they've successfully countered. They look a lot better on Cafe, and that's the credit I want to give them because this is their map choice, and they're looking arguably better than OSU, especially on their defensive side. They're having success on an earlier level, as well as now they have the potential to show different strats if they have any of those pocket strats coming out. They can throw different looks as they go downstairs to the kitchen, a bomb site that they were unsuccessful on due to just trouncing of OSU sprinting into sight and just being able to feel comfortable. However, if they're able to hold on to Bakery just a little bit longer, if their roamers or sort of the soft roamers in on over towards maybe like Kochek and bottom red are going to play a little bit more passive and not necessarily overextend themselves, it probably will be a lot more successful of a defense because you won't be feeding OSU confidence as well as free picks.
What has been extremely interesting throughout this entire matchup is the refusal to run SAS shotguns. You see Mew running the MP5K, you got Smoke running the FMG9, and it's worked to a certain extent, but, you know, do you think it's a proper decision? You know, you're only residing on the Maestro, you only want to use his shotgun, you're not really using anything else. Definitely going to be slow for setups, and honestly, if we saw a rush coming out from OSU, I mean, I could potentially see something going in their favor, most definitely, as they take about 2 minutes and 30, or not 2 minutes and 30 seconds, they finish their setup at around 2 minutes and 30 seconds each round.
I mean, what's lucky for them is the fact that OSU wants to go for a full top-down take and employ vertical pressure, and that does give them a little bit of extra breathing room for their setup process all the way down on the first floor. It's not likely that OSU is going to be able to properly drone the entirety of the map within 5 seconds unless they have the craziest places I've ever seen in my life. And that does sort of offer a little bit of a sigh of relief for the Maestro as well as the CapitãO, who have to do all of the soft destruction for this setup. And I guess it sort of does build into the point that most people do like to utilize the SAS, the shotgun and SMG-11 combo. It's been here since year one, season 1, because if you're proficient with the SMG-11 at pretty much any range, it's one of the fastest killing guns in the game. Sure, it gets a little bit squirrely, the recoil is sort of hard to master, but if you get to that level, it really can help you out and start really popping off in those close quarter proximities that we're going to see a lot of these gunfights go in on site.
They're going to be able to deny the initial ace, as the Selma will not be able to detonate just in time. That's going to be Kasakudo finding his way on in and being able to deny for an extended period of time is definitely going to be nice. Keep in mind they can still get that hatch on open, though. Seeing as they do have more than enough Selmas in order to try and get that on open, they can still try and orchestrate this white push. Shots will rain down in from the Dokkaebi. That's going to be Kazuo hitting the deck. For unfortunate situation we find ourselves in as, unfortunate timing from Luckshot as he's going to be able to swing on in and have his head taken right on off. Rhino doing some serious damage on the Dokkaebi right now, and they find themselves in the main advantage. 45 seconds left to go in the clock. They've spotted out the remaining roamer. The last two are on site. It's going to be an absolute bloodbath down to this Flood, seeing if they can try to pincer this Cade residing within coat check. This is assisted Castle Barricades, who's got some stuff going for him. And also Smoke being able to deny for an extended period of time using those gas canisters. That is the last one. Set on in and out. He's got no more left in hand. It's all down to the Flood right now as Apollo will make his way on in, trying to see if he can find one on the execute. They spotted out the Maestro. He's going to go for the Bolton. He tags one on in. That leaves Smoke, the last one left in sight. He's trying to turn off his phone, but he's been spotted on out. The shots will rain down on in. It's a 4-on-1 now. The cutoff is being set up over my whiskey bar. They're going to go and pincer on in, and that's going to be, closing things on out with a gorgeous 3K to take OSU to match point series points.
You know, that 3-time scope on the MK14 just hits different, you know? It was such a clear sight picture, and it was such a clear picture that Rhino painted with the blood of his enemies as the DMR just ripped all the way through him. He locked down that entire area of the map as soon as he took that control, just making an absolute firing range down that red hall corridor towards the bottom of the staircase, even extending all the way into Small Bakery. And once that Kaid was just sort of locked inside a coat check, there was nothing he could do. Once the Flood came in on the backside, sure, there was smoke canisters sort of locking off a lot of the area inside a freezer, but Apollo just sort of said, and sprinted right through him and was able to pick up a lot of kills, supplemented in with the Dokkaebi calls, forcing the Smoke to shut off his phone and put him in a quite vulnerable situation. It was the perfect recipe. It was the perfect storm coming out of the OSU attack as they just erupted onto site. The plant wasn't even necessary because of the crossfire through the previously made rotate hole, as well as the long angle being held by the Dokkaebi made it impossible for the Kaid to even get within smelling distance of the bomb site. He was just up the creek without a paddle.
Reloading!
So, they're gonna go for an extended hold as we will find ourselves going back to reading and dining with an extension over towards Pixel side. Now, this has seen relatively moderate success from not only UIC, but also OSU when they've decided to do it. So, they're gonna try and organize themselves and prepare for the onslaught. He's got 2 ADSs at his disposal, and there's more than enough utility to burn that on out from OSU. Have decided to drop off the Goya, though, and instead reside with just a regular shield, so you don't have to worry about that exploding in your face. It's just going to be a shield that will be to the detriment of OSU.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of sort of pressure coming out on all sides for UIC, but they've been able to adjust properly to a certain extent. But once OSU sees a certain look and a certain defense, they counteract and go for the sort of on-the-fly adjustments a lot stronger than UIC have been able to. And also, like, pure fragging power, you have to say that OSU is looking a little bit stronger with their overall scores. Basher's still looking good, but nobody is even close to Rhino, who has been the crown jewel of the OSU attack and defense across both maps, Clubhouse included. However, they've already burned a minute on this top floor attack. They do have a sledge this time around on the attackers. They will be trying to get that hammer into sight, or above sight, pardon me, over towards Bar Cocktail area to make all of the positions that the SAS operators in the form of Neon and Cosmo will be trying to lock down. But they still have a lot of work to do. They still have to remove the roamers such as Katsukudo and Basher, who are just sitting and living up there rent-free.
Neon's gonna be able to find the first pick of the round. That's gonna be Apollo hitting the deck, and Zofia will not breathe any more air for the remainder of this round. They're gonna see the Valkyrie getting caught off guard with the call. Can he find another one? No, the beautiful pincer will come up through the staircase, and Basher's gonna be able to find another one. That's gonna be a double kill in the round for him, and he's gonna be traded on out. 0-2 fights back, gets the refrag. Now it's all down to a 2-on-3 scenario. Combo and Zero got some stuff to work with. You definitely get some vertical play and potentially get a wall on open if it hasn't been mute jammed. But they've got a daunting task against them. It's going to be a 3-on-2 scenario, as we previously stated, and there's a multitude of positional advantage in favor of UIC, as well as the crossfires that can be set in place as they spread themselves across the second floor.
A bomb has been located.
Yeah, having horizontal pressure is really instrumental for the UIC defense because they can properly adapt to whatever take OSU is going to be going for. Most likely, they're going to try to drop pillars and get that breach open because they have the necessary vertical pressure to remove those mute jammers allocated onto the hard wall over on the reading side. Or maybe they're just going to come down white. Combo has already made his way halfway on that staircase, but doesn't seem to know that the mute might be sitting right behind him. It's just a little bit of creeping. It's a horizontal push as a Nitro is going to go up. Not quite connect this time. They're just going to have to drop straight on in, and they're going right into the belly of the beast, jolting in. Combo dropping it down, but Neon's going to answer back onto 0-2. It's a 1v2 situation, and he just doesn't even know where to go. He's caught between a rock and a hard place, and that's clock will strike midnight. Scoreline 6-6, so that means overtime.
Heading in overtime, we have 2, potentially 3 more rounds on our hands. Starting over on the defensive side of things will be UIC. So that's definitely going to be an advantage. Now, keep in mind, both teams got a 4-2 split, so it's not a daunting task. However, both of them did win their bar bomb site retrospectively. So or I said retrospectively, respectively would be the proper terminology. Come on, Hunter. English is hard.
Yeah, I mean, there's 26 letters. You know, that's a lot of them. You know, and you string them all together.
I can't even remember all 26. It's hard.
Yeah, math is hard. English is hard. And then you get math with letters in it. That's even more difficult.
Attackers need to locate.
You know,
and
life is
defuse
just hard
as many
sometimes.
bombs as they can.
Who needs to know how to do your taxes as long as you know y equals mx plus b?
Yeah, I mean, x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. That's something I use every day. As well as knowing that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. I mean, that's the knowledge that we need.
Hey, Bill Nye, the science guy, pulling up right here.
Exactly.
Are you a stat major or
I
a
am not.
math
I am
major?
an engineering major.
Okay, well, close enough. You still have to do a bunch of numbers in your daily life.
Yeah, it's fun. Mechanical engineering is it's difficult, you know.
See, in psychology, we don't have to do any of that. We just kind of just know what our brain does or figure out what the brain does.
I mean, all you have to do is
about
just
it.
watch Good Will Hunting, and then that's everything, right?
The bomb.
I mean, you know what? You're not half wrong.
Yeah,
Drop the bomb diffuser.
that is that's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Great.
That's such a good movie.
Well, we're going to be getting on over to upstairs. We find ourselves at potentially one of the final times we see this team for the night. As UIC, they need to pull these next 2 rounds, or 2 of these next 3 rounds, if they want to be remainder in contention for this matchup. Do keep in mind that this is map number 2. OSU, they took the previous map by a score of 7-1. It was an absolute dominant fashion. There was nothing that UIC could have done to fight back. But this is UIC's map. They're back on the ropes. They've been pushing things back. They've been definitely leveling back on in, and they definitely have something they want to showcase. They want to showcase they're still in here. They got to fight, and they want to win this.
Yeah, a minute already gone, and it's the same setup once again coming out of the UIC defense, and it's done pretty well besides luck shot going down early. He's going to be able to escape the fire as he also drops 0-2 once again. That's 2 frag grenades that will be very useful to have over towards this pixel clear. 1 micro cam going down, no more projection of the locations coming out. Maybe no more Maestro as Apollo's trying to find him. That very, very confident spray will sort of land 50% of the damage on the Maestro. He can tank a lot of bullets being at 3 armor. However, he's just going to need to stay alive. He's a very crucial backbone of this UIC defense, mainly picking up the final kills over towards the back end of the round. But coming through, Apollo's just snaking his way on into sight. He knows that there's people in freezer, and they don't know that he's all the way up long bar.
Oh, he's going to be able to get one as he gets shocks on away. One more crossing into his crosshair, but it's not going to be able to be found. His luck shot's going to bolt on over from the bathroom. He's going to be able to cut him on off. Now trying to get aggressive over here by White, see if he can get another frag, but he's not going to find it just yet. As he's going to try to fall off on back to the bathroom. On the other side of things, Rhino will be able to take one down. That's going to be Basher hitting the desk. or Cosmo rather, as he was previously spared from the Zophia's reign of terror, but fortunately he's going to try and peek on in, and it's not going to pan out in his favor. Rhino has made himself presently known over by default plant spot, but currently no extension coming out from bathroom. He's going to vault on over to see if he can try to take a gunfight. They're going to be well aware of his position. He's going to cross on over, but oh, he's also ready for it. That's going to be Kasuko finding... Ooh, a little bit of a spicy C4, and it's going to rain on in. Luckshot finds himself with a triple kill in the round. It's all down to Rhino now as he's going to be pushing on in. The wraparound's going to come in. Mute's going to hit the desk. Is he going to be able to find two? It's going to be Luckshot with the 4K on the round, and he's going to put UIC in the lead. They find themselves on match point, trying to desperately get over to map number 3.
You know, we kind of counted out UIC after the dominating win of OSU on Clubhouse, but they've answered back and they've came back with a vengeance. They now reclaim the lead for the first time, I believe, on this entire map. And what a time to do it, putting yourselves onto overtime match point with Kitchen coming up on the horizon. This is a bomb site that UIC was able to properly break down, a 50% win rate in the favor of both sides. 2 times brought out by the OSU defense, 1 time win, 1 time loss. So essentially, if you want to think about it from a statistical standpoint, it is kind of a coin flip. However, the first time brought out, it was dominatingly into the fashion of OSU,
Attackers
but
need to locate and
UIC
defuse
was
bomb.
able to adapt, so maybe a little bit more towards their favor. Interesting to see OSU not go all the way upstairs in the similar fashion what we saw UIC go for, because that bomb site has been a little bit stronger for them. They've won it twice as opposed to winning it a singular time, getting out of that 4-2 split for both teams. We are seeing a defender-sided Clubhouse of exactly what you would want to expect. Looking on the fragging side of things, it's very top-heavy for both teams, with a little bit of a better distribution coming out of OSU, as a lot of the rounds won by UIC were at the hands of time.
5 seconds left.
So it is just sort of interesting to see that USC does have the lead,
Attackers'
because if you were
objective
looking
is to locate a
just
bomb
at
and
the
defuse it.
kills of both teams, you wouldn't necessarily expect it to be going that way, because you have 3 players on both sides hitting triple digits, and then Combo and 0-2 are within a stone's throw of hitting double digits, but then you have Cosmo and Kasakudo kind of not even close on that front. But you know, the score that matters more is the one at the top of the screen, not your individual stats. And right now, UIC is on the cusp of forcing us to go all the way to Villa.
Well, they definitely certainly brought the right operator selection. They chose to forego the Zofia in favor of a Jackal, which would definitely assist with the roam clear. Not so much if you were to go out to bar, you most likely would have just been an extra pair of smoke grenades or burn utility for that matter, but seeing as that there's an extended hold, there's really no top-down factor to it, there's really no denial going in favor of OSU. Doesn't appear it's going to be anything more than just a line cutoff when they do go for the execute onto the site, as OSU does try to, or not, rather, UIC tries to set themselves up, make sure there's no roamers, and get rid of any potential gadgets and utility that happen to be residing with
bomb has been located.
the top floor or second floor for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, it also is a shotgun, which for a site that requires vertical pressure is actually going to be utilized well by Luckshot, opening up angles as well as Jackal tracking through the floor. 0-2 starting to feel some pressure and forced to forego his location inside of Small Bake, or pardon me, inside of Prep. That's going to allow a little bit of horizontal pressure coming in from the front side, but they do have to worry about players such as 0-2 and Apollo at the bottom of red. Never mind, 0-2 falls down. The Capitao Para will make mincemeat of the Kaid, who will now not have a C4 that he already utilized, but his Electroclaws will still live on and carry the torch for his legacy and impact on the round. Still a minute left to work with from the UIC attack, who has the man count advantage, which is looking good in their favor, but they don't have any control towards the first floor, and there's a lot of pressure locking down the sort of backside and allowing a little good amount of crossfires coming in towards site that if UIC don't properly read into, could be like a firing squad.
They're going to make their presence known in Bakery, as it does appear this is where the final site take is going to be from. Now, keep in mind, they've already gotten 1 frag. That's 1 C4 off the board. You have none left. The only denial left in hand for the defensive lineup is going to be those smoke grenades, and so about 3 of them, but 30 seconds left. You're going to have to start dumping those out on in, as they're going to try and make their way into sight, and it's going to be the mowdown from the 81 Bullet Man himself, Maestro of Apollo. He's going to be able to get the first one down on the board, and that's going to be kept out. Hitting the deck, forced to expected cancel remainder of the round, is they're going to make their presence unknown, trying to go for the flood onto site. It's going to be promptly shut down by Apollo, as they're going to try to aggress on up. It's a 3-on-3, making that 3-on-2, make it a 2-on-2. Is the diffuser's going down? He's got 2 seconds left in that. No denial left in sight. It's going to be shut down by Luckshot. They might be able to close this out. It's all down to Big Boosh. In a seemingly unwinnable round, seems to be going back into their favor. So he's going to try to cross on over. He's going to be promptly shut down as Neon tries to adjust his positioning over by the trash bag and see if he can potentially get a frag on in. They know where he is, just waiting for someone to swing their head on in as the Jaeger rotates into small bakery. Neon's going to adjust his positioning. He is aware of the position that has been previously given away as he hears the prone on down. Did the shot rains out on in? Boosh wins it with a triple kill, and he will take his team to round number 15 to try and close it out in 2 maps. They were on the ropes. He was in the 2-on-1 post-land position, but it is completely insurmountable to his will and sheer power to win this out for his team.
You know, and not without a second to spare. I think he had about like 0.7 remaining. Kind of stumbled a little bit on that vault prompt going in towards the rotate hole that I actually did not know was a rotate hole. I thought it was just headshot strips, but if it wasn't a rotate hole, he would have lost that round. And now this is the final round, potentially. It's definitely the final round of this map, but potentially of the entire series. If OSU is going to be riding the momentum that they just had, what they just saw, rallying behind Big Boosh on that huge Jaeger clutch, it could be good night. We could be saying goodbye to UIC.
Well, this entire series can come down to 1 round. We find ourselves on Cafe Dostoevsky. Villa waits, depending on the outcome of the next 3 minutes. We head on over to our final bomb site of this map. Mining and dining. Well, not mining and dining. It's actually reading and mining. Or dining. I'm getting my inings confused. It's dining, actually.
Yes. But...
Or is it mining?
Nope.
What if they're extending there?
It's reading and feeding. You know, that's how you rhyme them together.
Ooh, reading and feeding. You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like that ring a little bit better.
Like, yeah, exactly.
You know,
you got
why
and
dining?
You got reading and feeding.
Why dining? Why can't we just rename the room just to feeding? That's the feeding room. It's not the dining room. It's the feeding room.
Yeah, exactly.
Attackers are moving out to locate.
I like that ring to it a little bit more.
I mean,
Mom, let's get over to the feeding. You know.
But, you know, I want to talk about the sort of precedent that has been shown by this UIC defense in the fact that OSU has really struggled with time management on this site. They get the vertical pressure upstairs, but almost to a certain extent at what cost? The cost so far has been too much time. They've been forced to kind of throw their Hail Marys. They lost a 4v2 on this site because they had to drop and try to breach with 15 seconds left. They twiddled their thumbs a little bit too much on the 3rd floor and kind of forgot that the site isn't up there. They still have to drop down, they have to breach, or they have to break that castle barricade. And if the smoke is still alive, Big Boosh isn't, though.
Sure.
What a beautiful shot by Basher. The Jaeger locking down pistol with authority. He's going to be refragged out by the AK-12 of Combo. A beautiful shot separating the helmet of the Jaeger from the rest of his body and evening up the man count at an even 4-4.
Well, he's on some serious damage. It's Yash off the board, and in turn the Jaeger falls as well. The iconic duo will not see the light of day for the remainder of this round, as we still do have some upstairs presence. That's going to be Mute residing on White Stairs with the infamous MP5K that he's chosen to utilize this entire matchup. Do keep in mind is the Valkyrie is currently residing within wood pallets that would be a potential crossfire if they were to pressure themselves on in. However, no drones have come out just yet, and with about 1 minute and 20 seconds left remaining, they've done a serious amount of, well, time denial, shall we say. seeing as that they have only just now started a drone cocktail where they will see that no one is actually residing in there. This mission has not been given away to the Valkyrie just yet, but now MPX is now going to be having to swing on in, but it's not going to win against the M762 with another kill. That's going to be combo fighting it. It's a 4-on-2. It's down to Neon and Cosmo. The last time they were in a 4-on-2, they clutched it out. They took it from the grasp of their team, and in fact, it was not only on this, but you can't. Well, well, I was hyping them up to try and clutch it out because they clutched it out on this exact bomb site previously. But after that, my faith is getting less and less of them. But nevertheless, they will be finding themselves over to try and insert out anyone that comes down through the Pillars bomb site. They are not currently aware of Cosmo's position, so he does have that going for him, as well as Neon residing over by White. So time dwindling down on in. They can definitely do some serious fatal damage here. The next 30 seconds will decide the outcome of this map. Wall getting opened on, and the question is, has Cosmo been spotted? It's gas canisters raining on in as he sprints down on in. It's all left up to Neon. It's a 1-on-4. 13 seconds left. He has to deny the plant. He's not able to, though. That's Rhino, and the Ohio State University will claim this one by a score of 0-2. They thought they could pull it back. It was 7-8. It was their map pick, but never fear. Ohio State is here to claim that victory.
4 out of the 5 players on the OSU roster hit double digits. 14, 14, 13, and 10. What a wonderful team performance coming out of this entire roster as they take the series 2-0 and are going to propel themselves deeper into this playoffs, deeper towards the prize pool, deeper towards glory, as their run will be continuing. Unfortunately, the flip side of the coin, UIC will be going home, but they do not need to hold their heads down. They bounced back so strong on Cafe and kept us on the edge of their seat. And I'm sure everybody sitting at home in chat was definitely feeling the love for the Illinois Chicagoans. Chicagians? I don't know how to say it. Residents of Chicago. We'll say that.
No, we can't say that. That doesn't have the same zazz to it.
I know.
Would you say a Chicagoan?
I don't know.
See, I'm from DC, so we say a Washingtonian. So I gotta assume from Chicago, it would be a Chicagoan. Maybe not. Who knows? But they lost, and Ohio won, so maybe we should shift our focus on there. Heading into Cafe, what do you think changed for UIC? What do you think their game plan was? You know, they just got absolutely battered on down in. Do you think Ohio changed anything for that matter? Because from the looks of it, it looked like 2 different teams were playing. You know, you come over to Clubhouse, it's an absolute slaughter. Ohio looked really good. And then you see a fight back. They get some rounds back in. They even forced it to overtime. But Ohio still able to close it out. And
yeah, I think it mainly came down to the fact that UIC was so much more confident on the map and they understood it a lot better than I think Ohio State sort of gave them credit for. To a certain extent, I want to put the blame on both sides. Necessarily, I don't want to say it's like, okay, just UIC played a lot better. I think also Ohio State was sort of overconfident in coming in. Like, they didn't even ban an attacker. They were trying to save strats, and it almost bit them in the butt. But ultimately, they were able to edge it out as they got serious. They slapped themselves in the face. They woke up and sort of realized UIC can come back and win this. We don't want to go to Villa. We need to end this right now because that momentum is such a characteristic inside of Siege that it's just one of those untangibles. As soon as somebody starts catching fire, you get somebody like Big Boosh just fragging out of their mind, or even Luckshot on the other side of the UIC roster. Somebody on a heater is just something you don't want to deal with. And to that certain extent, ultimately, OSU just had more fragging power and had a little bit more in the tank, riding off their momentum for the first map, and they were able to fully edge it out on the second to secure their 2-0. But with that analysis being done, we are going to go to a quick intermission. We might stop stream. I don't know necessarily, but we do have a 25-minute break before our next match, which is St. Clair versus the University of Texas San Antonio. So make sure to stay tuned for that absolute barn burner. We will have to unfortunately say goodbye to Hunter Cash, as I will be getting a new caster up in the booth as casting links. But Hunter, I definitely did have an absolutely wonderful time with you. Is there any social medias or anything you would like to plug?
Well, the pleasure's all mine. At Hunter Cash on Twitter, but Honestly, I just had a great time tonight. Unfortunately, I can't be here for the second matchup, but I'm glad that I got to enjoy this first one. So that's going to do it from us today, ladies and gentlemen. Well, rather me. He's still casting. I hope you have a good time casting. I hope that's a great matchup that you can definitely enjoy for yourself. But other than that, that's going to do it for me. I'll talk to y'all later.
Alrighty, make sure to stay tuned for the next match, and it will be coming up soon, 9:30 Eastern. Stand by. So we will be right back.